Good morning, Raptor Freak. Alexiot's here on Tuesday morning. The Raptors lost game 2 to the Philadelphia 76ers, the first round in Philadelphia. This is what's supposed to happen in playoff series. The top seed is supposed to hold court at home court, and the other team's supposed to try and steal one. Well, we haven't even come close to trying to steal one. Let's be real here. And it sucks because, honestly, we know the capabilities of this team when it's at its full powers, its full personnel, and the different things it is capable of doing. And at times last night, we had some real bright spots. We were doing the right things. We actually won 2 out of the 4 quarters last night. We won the first quarter and we won the fourth quarter last night. But the stuff in the middle was just way too much by Philadelphia. And the thing that's bugging me the most about what's happening with Philadelphia is how much they're able to score. The first game was a really high score. It was the most points that a team had ever scored against the Raptors in the playoffs. And kudos to them. That's a great achievement. We've had great defensive teams and done really good holding teams down with their score for years in the playoffs. And that Philly went out and got that number against us. That's really good. And then last night, these 30-point plus quarters that Philadelphia has been putting on us in this playoff series is just unacceptable for what we do and how we are. I'm actually pretty impressed with them in their offensive efficiency and what they've been able to do. Of course, some of it is that foul line kind of stuff, but also a lot of it is that they have executed at a very high level. And we are trying in some ways to do things with our defense, but our defense isn't exactly right. Let me see what you guys are saying already this morning. Paul B's here. We look off. Gary needs to heal up. Yeah, it's really interesting last night. We found out at the last second that we would have 2 out of the 3 guys that were hurt available for the game. And I'm like, this is great. This is fantastic. But it turned out to be kind of just valiant efforts that maybe possibly shouldn't have been happening in the first place. Like Gary had no business out there. Like it is obvious that this man is seriously sick. And his stat line says enough about it. I won't even look at it. But Nick Nurse said after the game, I regret playing him last night, that I probably should have held him out, and that it was too soon for him to come back out and try to play. That he's just not well. And that sucks because we had him back, but really we didn't. And then Thad Young is a similar kind of thing. He came out and played. He hit 1 shot, and that was really a positive sign that maybe he'd be able to play still and be able to contribute. But I think maybe he didn't feel good because we didn't see him much after that. It's a very short stint. So in reality, we did miss Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., and Thad Young for the most part. Weren't really there to help us in certain ways. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm really worried about Gary because to me, it seems like what's wrong with him. I'd hate to think this, but I know it's the playoffs. And I know that this stupid kind of shit happens and stuff like that. But I would be real curious to find out how he got sick and what he is sick with. Now, I know there's privacy rules with the players, and we will probably never, ever find out about his ailment that's happened this past week. But I would be very curious about it. Like, I would be wondering if there's any kind of weird thing that happened to Michael Jordan in Utah with that whole thing with the food delivery or anything like that. I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm speculating. I'm a fan. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a pundit. I'm not on TV. I'm just a fan who's speculating that the possibilities of why Gary is sick right now and why it's all mysterious all of a sudden right now. That's all I'm saying. I know that the Sixers nation isn't like the Celtics nation to a degree. And I would be more worried about what I was just saying if we were playing Boston, because I know Boston nation will do dirty shit like that. But I'd hate to think that it is something like that with what's happened with Gary, because it is really weird timing, and especially with the way he was vibing right up until this whole thing is very fishy to me. Raymond Jacobs saying, gonna be ground zero at Scotiabank game 3. Fans are fuming, and it's going to be more hostile than ever, I bet. I hope so, Raymond, because we really do need to match the atmosphere that Philadelphia fan created in Wells Fargo the last couple games. They did a great job of making it very hostile. I don't understand how I feel like their super fan is involved in the game a little too much. Like he's standing too much, like he's a coach. I know he's an old man, but maybe he needs to sit down for more of the game and stop jumping up and down and stuff like that. And then there were a couple points in the last 2 games where it seemed like he was actually involved in the discussion with Doc and the referees, like in between them. And I saw Kane Fitzgerald in the first game, actually step around him and get him out of the conversation. Because it does seem like these Philadelphia fans at courtside have taken liberties. That's a good joke, right? To go ahead and get involved in the game, like really involved in the game. And that's really weird to me seeing them talk. Like, I understand there's talk and that normal kind of stuff, but really weird kind of stuff in some ways with that. But yeah, we need to make it real hostile. We need to have people outside. I have to commend the people that went to Jurassic Park last night in the snow yesterday and stood out there like true Raptor fans. You guys are real ones. I have so much respect for everybody who was out in Jurassic Park last night watching the game on the video screen outside with the snow coming down. That you are real ones. Salute from the Raptor Freak cult to you guys in Jurassic Park last night. Very, 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 very awesome to see. Like those are real fans. But for real, Raymond, we got to make sure this building, Sue, Monique, the people that I know are going to this game, y'all need to go down there and make it a badass building for our team because we're going to need it now more than ever. The onus is now on us. The onus was on them to hold their serve in their court and win their 2 home games, defend their home building. And now we have to do the exact same thing in our building, or this series is over. It's that simple. We have to make sure that we don't let them look so dominant over us like they have in the first 2 games. We have to be that team, and we have to win tomorrow. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We have to defend our court and our territory, our country, our city. And if we don't, then, that's it. We're probably going to be done. And that's just how it goes. This is the playoffs, and this is what it is. Tom Duke's saying not the end of the world, and we need to breathe. I got to admit, that game was deflating. As deflating as it was, Tom, what do we do on this channel? We shine a light. And there's a lot of good things to look at from that game. I am so proud of the way the Raptors came out. And Sixer fan can get mad about what I'm about to say. That they came out and they gave the receipts back. We saw the receipts given back for some of the bullshit that happened in game 1 with Joel Embiid's elbows and hitting in the face. And that I'm specifically talking about that one play where he didn't even do it dirty because they couldn't call a flagrant foul on him. When Pascal had his arms out and Joel was coming to the basket, he put him on his side. He landed hard, and that was a receipt given. That was a receipt given. And I was like, kudos to Pascal Siakam. You did it, buddy. And that wasn't the only one. We were given receipts a couple different times last night. We gave one to James Harden. We gave one to Maxey. And we were very, very physical last night in the way that we needed to be. That we hit back. They hit us in the first game. They smacked us in the face. They messed us up, injured us. And we came back and we said, we're not taking this. And that was part of the reason why I picked the picture for this stream is that whole fracas between OG and Joel when they got the double text. That was perfect because that's not backing down. That's standing up to these people and showing that we're tough and that we're not going to just roll over and die. You're going to punch us in the face. We might punch back still. In every kind of way, whether it's trying to score and come back or just using pure physicality like you guys do also. And that's just the way it is. It's the playoffs, baby. This is how it goes. And I love that receipts were given back last night. And Pascal, you did it in the right way because you did it in a way where James Capers went and looked at the cartoons and he couldn't say, oh, he did that egregiously as a flagrant foul. You just did it right, Pascal. Good job. Very good job. Tom Duke saying, nice, Raymond. Let's go. I love what you guys are saying about the home court. I really hope that it happens. These fans can't be chicken littling. They need to have utmost confidence in their team. And if they suck the air out of the building for some reason because they're not confident in our team just because of how things have gone the first 2 games, I'm going to be so pissed off at you Raptor fans that are on the ground at ground zero. You guys need to be fanatics. That is what the full word is. A fan is a fanatic. So be fanatical when you go to that game tomorrow and make sure that you don't let up. I don't give a shit. This is what I've been saying all year. The other team that's playing us cannot have any control over us. We need to be a defiant fan base. And that's what I'm saying. Like this is what other teams, when they come into your building, thrive off of, shutting your damn crowd up. And if your crowd is just not have a switch that says off, if you just keep cheering and going crazy for them, even if they're down 25 points or up 25 points, then that is what I'm talking about. Because we don't want to give them, concede that. Sure, they're going to hit people. Sure, they may have the refs on their side. Sure, they may get all these kind of breaks, but we don't want to give them a break from our crowd. Well, our crowd needs to come in full effect 100% all game. And it doesn't matter what the score is. It doesn't matter if they start blowing us out. You guys need to be a factor no matter what. And if you don't give that strong effort to help our guys with energy, I'm going to be disappointed in our Raptors crowd and, in the building tomorrow. And that's the thing. It's like if we could have every single kind of person like that was outside last night in the snow watching the game, and that's the crowd that we get inside for the game tomorrow night, I'll be very happy because those are the right kind of fans. The fans that will stand out in April snow and watch a game and see a game that is the loss and stick around and watch it all the way through. Those are my people. And those are the kind of people I want in the building. I know, like Sue and Monique, we need these people to be loud because this is a real important thing. And this is what Philly's going to try and do. And there is a likelihood that this might happen where the normal Toronto sports fans are going to come in there and they're going to feel like the losses from the last two games and they're going to see some bad things happen on the court possibly. And then all of a sudden they're going to Chicken Little and they're going to do Toronto Maple Leaf fan impersonations. And I don't want any of that kind of shit. Because we are fanatics. That is the full word. Toronto Raptor fanatics. And we need to go down there and be fanatical about our cheering is what I'm saying right now. Callie's here. We are missing two of our main scorers and no one to stop Maxey. Yeah, like I said just now, it's like Scotty was definitely out. We did not see Scotty in the game. And then two of the guys, our other starter, Gary Trent, he tried valiantly, but this man is not right. He is not even the same person as he was in the last week of the regular season. There's something very wrong with Gary from his illness. And I have to give him kudos for even trying. This is what I predicted yesterday, that Gary would try and play, but he's still not ready. And this is crazy. Like if he's been sick for over a week or now, he needs to start getting better. I worry about somebody when they're this sick for this long. Like if you're a strong, young, healthy person, you need to be bouncing back and beating it. And this is way too long for him to be sick and to be feeling this. This must be a very serious thing. Like to me, I feel like it's COVID, but it isn't. It's like it's a non-COVID related illness, but it seems like looking at him, the way he's acting, it seems like it's something like that. I don't know. As far as stopping Maxey, Callie, I thought that we did okay. We did a much better job this game, obviously, than the first game. Maxey's stats were 8 of 11. He still shot really well, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. He almost got a triple-double. Kudos to him. Once again, he was a huge problem. And we didn't handle him well enough. But Malachi did play him a lot, and I did like seeing that look on him because I felt like he could chase him around a little bit and maybe slow him down just a little bit. It's just too bad Malachi didn't make any of his shots or do anything else. He got 21 minutes, and he didn't score jack shit. And everything that we put up, he missed. But the other stuff he did was pretty good, like filling in minutes and just trying to slow down their guys. Like he was pretty good on defense, pretty good. But we really need somebody to contribute on both ends of the court with the minutes that he got, which is too bad. Brian's here. Good morning, freaks. Good morning, Brian. Good to see you again. Listen, this is the thing. I may be a masochist to be here waiting, sitting in this room, in this box right here, waiting for Sixer fan to come in here, roast me. But they haven't shown up yet this morning, so maybe they'll have a little respect and stay away. But who knows? We'll see. There's nice Sixer fans that we talk to here, and maybe they'll be cool and stuff like that. But good to see you, Brian. I'm glad to see you here again this morning. And every morning, 9:30, I'll be here. Leslie saying, someone please call 905. Tell them we just got shot down. Please send Delano and Justin. Yeah, Delano's available. I don't understand. We could have used him at different times, but last night was really Malachi's tryout. And I don't know if he'll get another one like this. I think that if he's going to go with another shot, like if we're missing guys again tomorrow night, I think he's going to give Armani the next shot. And maybe he'll let him try and run around and do some, at least get some scoring and play good defense. Maybe it'll be Delano. I don't know. As far as Justin, you could see Justin in street clothes on the bench, and you could see that he really wishes he could be out there to help. And honestly, a lot of Raptor fans were probably thinking that too, that it'd be awesome if we could have Justin right now. But it's just the rules of the rosters and the two-way contracts and just the way it works. he's not eligible to play for us, unfortunately. But yeah, we could use some of those 905 guys. And just speaking of 905 real quick, they gave out the G League awards this week for the people who did well. And Reggie Perry got all G League second team. He's the only Raptor 905 to get any recognition in the postseason. And I think that's kind of fucked up, honestly. Like G League, you guys this is the best team with the best record in the G League, and they only got one representative on any of their stuff, like whether it's defensive stuff or that's kind of fucked up. G League, you guys needed to give at least kudos to one other Raptor, and I don't care who it was. You figure out who you should have been, like Justin or Delano or something. But Reggie, congratulations to you on getting all second team G League. And, that I think, like I said, I really feel like they should have, celebrated us a little bit better because we did have a really sensational season as a G League team. All right, let's keep going. Callie's saying it's so hard for a team to get momentum when the freaking whistle is blown constantly. Yeah, and it was right away. It wasn't like the thing that they did last night wasn't like the first game where they put foul trouble on Fred right away. This time it was more like we're going to make sure the whistle's blown every single time down the court and get them in the bonus right away. Like the fact that the Sixers were in the bonus like 4 minutes into the game is really fucked up. Like that doesn't happen normally. Normally you don't get in the bonus until you're like in the second quarter or something like that. It's really fucked up and fishy because they were feeding them free throws like crazy. And that's such a much easier way to try and score than to go through the physical contact and score on the floor. And once again, a lot of these calls were kind of like Jack calls it like the superstar treatment. Is like, Joel Embiid makes a move to the basket and he's got a pretty open path and we kind of move out of the way and he's still getting an and one, even though we barely touched him. Meanwhile, Pascal's getting wrapped up and grabbed all which way and he's laying the ball in and there's nothing. There's a lot of that going on in this series. And I know Sixer fans say we're whining and crying about fouls too much because it's true. And it's not like we're the only team that's whined and cried about y'all this season. JB Biggerstaff had to pay some money as Cleveland Cavaliers head coach just a couple weeks ago about this very same fucking issue. And I've heard Celtics fans chiming in our little debates online in different places, and they completely agree with us about the way Joel Embiid's getting treated this season. And, look, we can't make excuses. We want to beat y'all and beat y'all the right way. We have to overcome this kind of stuff. It's not like this is the exact reason why we lost, but it definitely helps y'all. Like if y'all are struggling to start your game, this is a real easy way to ease y'all into being able to get going. Is get you to the line right away in all kinds of different ways. And it was fucked up how quickly, like there was like the first 8 fouls called were all on the Raptors and we didn't have any kind of fouls in our favor in any kind of way, like in the first bit of the game. And we still won the first quarter. And that's a testament to great job by the Raptors coming out with a strong start, overcoming the fact that the whistle was already swayed one way. And that, I love that. That's fantastic job by them. But once again, it's like, what can you do? You can only do so much. We've got worry about the ref calling, the way it's going, and then we're undermanned at this point. And as Leo Rowden said this season, our margin for error is very slim. We have to be at full power and making perfect basketball happen on the court for us to consistently win. And that's not happening right now. We do not have perfect basketball. We have very bad defense at times and lapse of judgments and different things. And then like the other stuff, it just doesn't help. And one of the things they're talking about today is like a lot of Raptor fans that I follow and talk to online are talking about Mark Lindsay and his connection to Philadelphia. Because listen, there's a tradition of a fraternity of NBA refs that are all from the Philadelphia era. This is something that's gone on for decades and decades. Red Auerbach was a huge complainer of the fact that all these referees seem to come from the Philadelphia area. And that there's a whole list of guys, like I'll run off a bunch of names: Steve Javie, Earl Strom, Ed Malloy, Mark Lindsay, Tim Donaghy. These are all former Philadelphia refs or refs currently that are from the Philadelphia area and that are known to be Philadelphia sports fans in a lot of cases. And I think that's just kind of fucked up when the second ref in our ref crew is one of these Philadelphia guys that is known and is out there and is part of this Philadelphia ref fraternity. Now, you look at it, think about it this way, that if this referees from Philadelphia have been around helping the Sixers, this is one thing I will say about all this. Why wouldn't they be better for all these many years in some ways? Well, that just explains the ineptitude of the Sixers organization, that they've been so fucked up, like with their GMs and their owners and their coach problems and all kinds of different shit for decades, that they may have a favoritism from referees being from their area, and they still can't fucking get it done because they're such a shitty organization. And now they're finally coming, it's ripening for them. They're having good shit happen. They finally get Joel Embiid to the point where he's like really in his career, in his prime, and they got a young stud like Maxey running things and doing great things for them. So now it is time. Maybe out of the woodworks, people like Mark Lindsay will come out and fucking be like, but it wasn't specifically him in some ways. It was the whole ref crew. And it was just, it's just how it is. And we're going to talk about the whole discussion that Joel Embiid and Nick Nurse had at the end of the game. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to that. But yeah, it is really hard for a team to overcome so much, whether it's the hostile crowd, listen, playing Joel Embiid, he's one of the most dominant players in the league. I can't lie about that. The man's size and his skills together make him such a hard cover. So just having to deal with that, and then with that, he's getting like a really curried favor to get him to the line constantly. You can't fucking beat that. It's really hard to beat. You have to be perfect and have all men on deck. And we don't have all men on deck, and we're not playing perfect. We played really good in the first quarter and beat them in the first quarter. And in the last quarter, we played really good defense and we're doing good. We won the fourth quarter also. It's just that stuff in the middle with them getting like 70 plus points in the second and third quarter. That's just too egregious. That's too fucked up to try and come back from. When that's that much lead building in the middle, in the meat of the game. Like, we were doing great up until about halfway through the second quarter, and then it kind of unraveled. Tyrese Maxey went off, and he kind of got loose in a way that we didn't need him to. And it helped them get some momentum going all of a sudden. And then they got their good cushion. But we were still in there fighting, and there were times where we showed signs of life, of possibly making one of our comebacks that we always do during the regular season. We'd be down by 15 in the third quarter and still manage to win a game. So it's not like we were completely out of the game. I know Sixer fans going to look at it and say, yeah, we just dominated you the whole fucking game. You're wrong, though, because we were actually doing really well at different times. And there was some sections of the game where we stopped you guys, and you guys couldn't score for a little while. And that was more like the regular season then. Like, if we can start turning the tide, get that home cooking tomorrow with the home crowd, and do more of the good things we showed last night, like throughout the whole 48 minutes, we can win game 3. And that is absolutely essential for us to win this series. We have to win tomorrow night. It's on us now. All the pressure was on Philly to hold serve in Philadelphia the first 2 games. Now it's all completely on us. And this is where our mettle is tested. This is where we see what kind of guys we got in this condition right now. And it may be that we just don't have enough to line up with their talent, with our injuries and the things that are happening currently with the team and stuff like that. And it's too bad. Callie's saying, I love Jack normally, but last night he pissed me off. Yeah, he was being fair in some ways. And, they got to listen, they're actually way better than they used to be. Like, our Raptors announcers used to gloss over all the refereeing and the foul inconsistencies and wouldn't even point it out. They were trying to hold up the narrative of the NBA and stuff. But now they see how bad it is that they call it out in the game. And I applaud them for that, because there were many, many years in the history of the Raptors franchise where the announcers thought we were either too dumb or they didn't want to talk about it or do what this or that. We just didn't even hear about it, or they didn't inform the audience that this is actually happening out there. That they're actually saying stuff about it. Like at the beginning of the game, Jack and Matt were very much keeping on top of the whole way the fouls started right away at the beginning of the game. But yeah, I get what you're saying, Callie. There's times where these guys piss me off because maybe they're a little too negative about the Raptors, or they're giving way too many kudos to the other team that I don't think is totally deserved. But me personally, I had no problem with the way they were calling it. But I can understand if Jack was pissing you off last night. I've been there with him too, also at times. Paul B saying Embiid needs to not talk to Nick Nurse. Yeah, that's a little disrespectful. He said he was saying I have a lot of respect for him in the press conference. Well, you don't. when you fucking come over and get in his face. And you know what? There's something not lining up with what they're saying that they said, because one of them saying that they said something, and then the other one's saying the other one, and one of them's fucking lying, is basically what's happening. And I think it's Joel Embiid that's lying, because he probably didn't say what he said to him, because it's very disrespectful what he said. He told him to quit bitching about the calls. That's not what you said. What Nick Nurse said that you said is that you keep fouling me and putting me on the line, I'm going to keep making the free throws, is what Joel said. Well, we'll keep fouling you, is what he said. That's what Nick Nurse said that they said. But Joel Embiid's saying that he told him to quit bitching about the calls. Maybe both things were said in that conversation. But Nick Nurse said respectful things towards Joel Embiid. He's a great player. I respect him and stuff like that. And then Joel Embiid was trying to say that he respects Nick Nurse also. But you know what? You don't do that kind of shit at the end of the game. That's a poor winner mentality. And also, that's kind of disrespectful towards Nick Nurse as one of the best coaches in the NBA. I'm sorry. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're using the language in your post-game interview that I'm being respectful and I told him to quit bitching, that's not respectful, Joel. You need a lesson on what respectful is. That's not being respectful to someone when you tell someone they need to quit bitching, and saying that word in particular. And you saying it in the post-game interview makes you saying it is an oxymoron, because that's not respectful. When you say I have respect for him, but then you say, yeah, that's not the same. It's not lining up. And then what Nick Nurse said, yeah, we'll keep fouling you. We'll keep putting you on the line, because they're going to keep putting you on the line and calling all these fouls, because that's the only thing we can fucking do. In some ways, we got to try and play good defense. And if we foul them and they call the foul or touch or whatever, so be it. It's what can we fucking do, But that whole exchange at the end was totally unnecessary. It didn't have to happen. And Joel Embiid, you don't look good when you do this kind of stuff. Sure, maybe your fan nation gets kicks out of it and they make little dumb memes and shit like that. But honestly, once again, I'm getting a strike on your character as far as just, from my opinion of you as a person. There's other people on your team that are growing in respect from me, like Tyrese Maxey, and even James Harden to a lower degree, which is something I did not foresee with this series, that I would have more respect for James Harden in this series. I did not see that happening. But Joel Embiid, your stock as far as respect with me and maybe other people around the league that see that kind of shit is dropping, is plummeting. And you know what? You're not going to win MVP. Jokic is going to win it. And at this point, I'm like, yeah, that's good, because you don't deserve it. Even if you led the league in scoring and all your fans are chanting MVP, MVP, you know what? It won't matter, because you're not going to win it. And all those dumbasses chanting MVP are not going to get what they want, is ultimately what's going to happen. Because I've looked at the voting, and you're not anywhere close to Jokic as far as the vote numbers right now. And that's just the truth of it. All right, let's see. Peter's saying they didn't lose to the Sixers. We lost to a rigged NBA. This is criminal. Jack Armstrong drinking the NBA Kool-Aid. And Peter's also saying they all know it's fixed. They're just trying to keep their jobs. It's so freaking obvious. I watch for the spectacle, not the game. Peter is being very cynical here, but I know what? I can't disagree with him. The meat of what his argument is and what he's saying here is actually very true. Because this is the thing. When we won the championship in 2019, this was an economic boon for Toronto. This was an economic boom for the country of Canada. And that's money that they want in the U.S. And that is purely, number one, reason why the NBA never wants the Raptors to win another championship again. And if they'll cut that head of the snake off earlier in the season, if they can, to try and stop that train from happening. Well, we weren't probably ready to go that far down the tracks anyway in our current state, and with our development year, quote unquote, and stuff like that. But I can't argue with Peter, and this is not some weird purple Kool-Aid that he's drinking and stuff like that. There is very good sound evidence and different things that you can see in the NBA. Like, there's a lot of speculation today about whether Mark Lindsay has a gambling problem, that he may be a part of the Scott Foster, Tim Donaghy gambling cartel in the NBA refereeing, where these guys actually bet on games that they actually ref in, and they are making money on the side privately on the download. Mark Lindsay is implicated in this in some ways also. So that's what I'm saying. You can't trust the officials in some ways, because first of all, look, one of them last night was from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area. He grew up 30 minutes away from where the Sixers play, Mark Lindsay. And then the other two guys, James Capers Jr. and JB DeRosa, they're both sons of former NBA refs. Their fathers both refereed in the league for many, many, many years. That's nepotism. So it's very much a very kind of organized crime, kind of fucking racket, the NBA refereeing in different ways. Like it's like, it's such a hard way to get a job in there. It's like your dad's like, yeah, well, you don't worry, son. I'm gonna get you a job here as an NBA ref no matter what kind of shit. And then also like they really protect each other. The Philadelphia referee mafia. And they are like, seriously, because they all get together. I read a bunch of stuff about them last night when I found out more about them. They get together and have dinners together, and they protect each other. There's a fraternity, as they call it. Now, there's not as many of the Philly refs as there used to be. They used to really run the league, like in the 80s, in the 90s. They were running the league. And now there's not as many of them. Ed Malloy and Mark Lindsay are two of the more well-known ones that are still around right now. But yeah, this is a real thing. And Peter, you're not wrong that there's some rigging in some ways of different things. And it's very subtle. And the refereeing with giving the calls to the Sixers, helping them manufacture points without getting hurt or having to do any work down low, that's easy points for Joel Embiid. I mean, you look at this discrepancy in amount of free throws shot for both teams in both the first two games, and it's a wide gap. Like I think that they were saying last night that the whole Raptors team shot as many free throws as Joel Embiid shot in the first quarter. That kind of shit is going on right now. And it's something we're used to. It's something we've had to overcome. That's why we have to be that much better talent-wise and in different ways. And we're not at this point. They have better talent right now. They're the better talented team. And this is going to be a really tough series. At this point, I would like to not get swept. Like, we need to win at least one more game. That's really important because I don't want fucking Shaq bullshit, fucking his prediction to have any kind of like legs or, oh yeah, Shaq said this. Oh, he was right. That kind of shit. So we need to have pride and at least get one. That's really important at this point. Yeah, and you're pissed off at Jack Armstrong also. Very interesting. I didn't hear that stuff that Jack was saying that's pissing y'all off so much. But maybe I just had not tuned in as closely at near the end, and maybe when he was saying a lot of this. But yeah, you know what? You're right. I can't argue. I say this myself. I'm a Raptors fan. I'm a huge Raptors fan, but I'm not necessarily a fan of the NBA because I see that within the structure that the Raptors work in, it's not totally fair, and it pisses me off. And I'll say that I'm an enemy to the NBA, and I hate the NBA, and I root for the Raptors despite them being in the NBA. And that I want them to overcome it all. That's basically the way I look at it. A random gamer is here, a Sixer fan. Good to see Sixer fan. Congratulations on a second win. That you guys did deserve it. Honestly, I got to say that. All right, let's see. Random gamer saying, so happy after yesterday. I love the way the Sixers are playing team basketball and not just ISO ball. By the way, is Fred VanVleet injured? He started out hot, then went ice cold. Couldn't buy a bucket. Hope all is good. Appreciate that, Sixer fan. And like, once again, man, respect. And I'm glad that you've come in here with a voice that is cool and, maybe, nice considering what's been happening. Yeah, the Sixers are really moving the ball around really well. Like their team play is fantastic. And a lot of it probably has to do with James Harden and like him being out there and his vision and his pinpoint passes and the different things he's doing. Maxey's a great passer also. Like he is definitely a point guard also. As far as with Fred, yeah, he started real hot. You could tell this is the kind of way Fred is that he can get really motivated and try and do stuff. And he was a badass in the first quarter. A big reason why we won the first quarter. But then he cooled off. His shot just went off for a while and he was missing stuff. I don't know if it's fatigue. It may be like that's the way he is he's a streak shooter. Sometimes he's really, really on like he was at the beginning of the game. And then he goes ice cold because he did miss a lot of shots after that. Like he ended up being 5 for 16 from the 3-point line. He took 16 threes last night, which is a lot of threes, and 7 for 23 is not that good a shooting from him either. And he said that after the game that he could have played way better, that him and Pascal need to play way, way better. OG played exceptional last night. I was really, really happy with OG and Chris Boucher. Late in the game, fantastic stuff. At least a real bright spot for Raptor fans, at least with those two guys in the game last night. But I appreciate your comments, and all's good to you also, Random Gamer. I'm glad you're getting to enjoy the games more than we are in some ways, just because you seem like a nice guy. Brian's saying, can't be mad at our guys when the odds are so stacked against them. They're trying. They really are. It's like really valiant. Like, honestly, I thought for a moment that Scotty might play last night. The way that he talked in his interview yesterday with the walking boot, they asked him, when do you think you'll be back? And he had a real smile in his eye. Like you say, I might be back sooner than you think. And that, to me, that means I think he's going to be playing tomorrow night, y'all. That he's only going to miss one game and he'll be back for tomorrow. That's really what I think is going to happen, because he kind of gave a poker tell when they asked him that. Like, I look for this kind of stuff in interviews when I watch all these interviews with players and coaches, is poker tells and like little tells with their face and stuff like that. And Scotty gave a real strong tell that he's probably going to be either playing. He will play one more game in this series. I'm going to bet you money right now. He may not make it for 3, but he will be in 4 if it's an elimination game, and we're looking in trouble. If we lose game 3 and we're facing elimination game 4, Scotty's going to play. I'll bet you money right now. Yeah. But yeah, it's tough. We can't be mad at them too much. They're trying, they're doing their damnedest. And once again, we have to realize that like our ceiling this whole season was completely unknown and untested, whether it was super, super high, like very optimistically thinking, oh, we could maybe win the championship, or where it is realistically, because we hit it in the playoffs. And it may be that our ceiling is with the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round. And the one thing we need to keep in mind as Raptor fans is this season has been such a huge success, no matter what. That a first round exit to the Sixers is not a failure, as some people would put it. This is something that was probably expected to a degree, but also something that was just part of the learning process and the development process. Once again, we can't be both in some ways. It's like some people have said, oh, they're a developing team. Oh, they're a playoff team. But this is where it kind of meets, and like where we find out exactly where we fall on. We may still be somewhat of a good playoff team if we can pull the series out of if that happens, that's amazing. And that is stuff that Raptors teams in the past have been able to do, is come back from an 0-2 deficit. They've done this against the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, it was a different crew of people and a different time and different things. But, anything can happen in the NBA, and sometimes. Let's see. Raymond Jacobs saying at Random Gamer, and Pascal and OG are only healthy starters right now. Yeah, in some ways, I think that is true, Raymond. And OG, man, I'm so impressed with OG with different things that he did on the down low last night. Like, his shooting was really good. 10 for 14, 4 of 7 from 3, 26 points. Just solid in a lot of ways. But once again, he could be more aggressive even. Like, I love him attacking the basket. The last 2 games, he's gotten these breakaways where he just runs at the rim and dunks it. And I love that. And his 3-point shot is really money in a lot of ways. It was really disappointing when Fred missed those wide open threes that he got a couple in a row. That would have been a real game changer at that time and stuff like that. And then, of course, OG dribbling the ball off his foot. When we're really making that late push and we had good momentum, that really killed our whole drive to come back on them, was when OG, and that's like a classic OG turnover from when he was younger that he's kind of gotten better about, but we saw it rear its ugly head just in that moment where the foot dribbled the ball off his foot, and then all of a sudden Philadelphia's on the fast break going the other way. That was a real momentum changer for the game last night. I still had confidence that we could possibly come back and steal the game with the way that we were forcing on them, and we were also stopping them at the other end of the court. But that absolutely killed us once OG dribbled off his foot, which is too bad. Peter's saying, peeps need to wake up. The world is not what you think. Yeah, in some ways he's right. There are different nefarious, insidious forces out there that are doing fucked up things behind our back, whether it's like the transfer of wealth in such an unprecedented level to the billionaires and the very top during this pandemic in different, very fucked up ways. There's all kinds of insidious shit. Oh, yeah. And I think that Peter is referring to the NBA and the structure of it in some ways. Peter, you are very welcome here. This kind of conspiracy theory kind of talk and, talking about this kind of stuff is stuff that I welcome here, because you need to talk about the truth. And you need to talk about what is actually below the surface and may be unspoken or unsaid, but can be found if you dig deep enough. Oh yeah, and I appreciate it. All right, random gamer saying, "Dang, that sucks, Raymond. I seriously wish everybody's healthy for this battle." Yeah, listen, in some ways, I don't know if we being fully healthy would still beat you guys because you guys are playing at a really high level right now. Once again, Doc Rivers doing a really good job with his coaching, and just you're right, your teamwork on your team right now is phenomenal. Like the way they got up for Danny Green's dunk and the way they were talking after the game was hilarious. They're like, they're saying they need to give him an ice bath now because he's so old. Doc Rivers said that's like him making that dunk is like me making the dunk like that. So some of that stuff was hilarious. And Danny Green being a former champion for us, I have to like some of this to a degree, but not, obviously not that we lost and stuff like that. But the vibe on y'all's team is super good. And Tobias Harris is a huge X factor for y'all in these first two games. He has been really stepping up. And that one of the things that they said after the game that they're really proud of him for, and this is Danny Green specifically, is his defense on Pascal Siakam. That Tobias Harris is playing some of the best defense of his entire career. Doc Rivers coached him in LA with the Clippers also, and he's saying this is the best he's seen Tobias Harris play in his career on the defensive end. So, there's a couple of different things that are happening for the Sixers right now that are really positive. And these are things that weren't necessarily happening yet in the regular season. And this is really fortuitous and great for them now in the postseason, stuff like that. Listen, if you guys beat us and you're going to play Miami, I don't want you to beat Miami. I'm going to be rooting for Miami, but I will have respect for you guys and want you guys to give them a good series because you have played super, super sensationally well. And the only reason why I'll root for Miami, and in fact, I'll do it half-heartedly because I do hate Miami a lot, is Kyle Lowry, obviously. And that's the only reason why, really. Click2am saying, Raptors did play bad and it's consistent last night, but man, if people are failing to acknowledge the blatant fixed whistle, then people are delusional and denial. Yeah, they're going to do that. Philly fan is going to be very delusional for things that are helping now, for sure. And it's funny, like I went and saw a couple of things that Philly Nation's saying right now, and they're very like calling us whiny bitches and saying that we bitch and whine too much about the referees and stuff, and that we wouldn't beat them anyway because we're not good enough. And to agree, there is some truth in what they're saying right now, that we have not proven that we're good enough to beat them. And that sucks because I really want to prove that we are and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree, Click, that if you can't see the imbalance between how the calls are being called, whether it's like our guy comes down and they get hammered, they don't get anything, and then down to the other end, like that one play where Joel went to the basket and Pascal kind of shifted to the side out of his way, and then he laid it up. That shouldn't have been a foul. That was a superstar call, as Jack likes to put it, that they're just giving him the dramatic and one. And basically in that kind of thing. There's been a lot of that this season for Joel Embiid specifically as a player. So yeah, it's tough to beat and deal with, but that means we have to be that much better, honestly. Criscom saying, "Damn, that was tough." We got to regroup and hopefully Gary can show the world what he's been doing all year. I just want Gary to get better. Honestly, I don't want him to try anything. What is going on with you, Gary? Sleep like 18 hours between the game last night and the game tomorrow. Drink as much, like get a whole fucking jug of OJ, man, and just chug that all fucking day. You got to do things proactively to get yourself better. You're supposed to be a young, top of the line athlete. And whatever's fighting you or beating you, man, this must be some serious shit because you're a young stud and your body should be able to fight this fast. Like I get sick at 47 and I keep myself in good shape. I eat right. I try and fight something. I can beat something in 2 or 3 days, sick wise. And I don't understand this lingering sickness that you've had now for at least 5 to 7 days. And that's not good. Like, if you're still feeling this horrible this far in, man, there must be something really wrong with you. And also I question, why the fuck are they letting you play? Even if it's not COVID, you could get other people sick if you're that fucking sick. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's maybe he did have a food poisoning or something like that, and he's trying to get his body back in shape. I'd hate to think that there was something nefarious or insidious that caused Gary Trent to not be his normal self for this round, is what I'm saying, going back to what I said earlier. But yeah, there's something real weird, really, really weird, because even like, look at Michael Jordan. When he had that flu game, he was still able to play at a very high level, even though he was absolutely sick and just sweating and like just feeling like he wanted to throw up telling Scottie Pippen in the timeout, I'm going to throw up, and literally throwing up on the timeout, and then going back out there and scoring 5, 10 more points, that kind of shit. So I'm really wondering what the fuck happened to Gary. And I know we probably will never know. Maybe they can divulge a little bit more to us as time goes on. Who knows? Evelyn saying, hey, good morning, Granny Evelyn. Good to see you. Good morning. I still have all the hopes. We still have all the chances. Cheers, guys. Let's go, Raptors. Shout out to my only granddaughter, Candace, on her first birthday today. Happy birthday, Candace. Happy 1-year-old, Candace. Oh, Granny Evelyn is so proud of you, little Candace. I'm sure she is so happy and beaming, and she misses you when she's not around you, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, Evelyn, you know what? You just made a big bright spot for us on a tough morning. Yeah. And I love your spirit of not giving up. And you care. You really care, and you really believe in them. I really love that. Chris comes saying, my guy OG held it down, though. Yeah, he really did. He's impressing us. He's showing that like he's willing to really get in there and try and carry us with, silently in some ways. OG really did show us some things. And he was a real bright spot. Near the end, making his shot still, doing important things and stuff like that. Like I said, him and Chris were badasses. Chris Boucher, 8 of 13, 17 points, 6 offensive rebounds. He was doing exactly what I asked him yesterday. I was like, be your inner Rodman, channel it, and get out there and do good things. Taking those charges. Like there were like 2 or 3 plays at both ends of the court where Chris was absolutely making a huge winning play and giving us good chances to try and come back during that run late. To try and come back. A lot of that was Chris Boucher with taking a charge or making a really good play on offense or, stuff like that back and forth. Really good stuff by OG and Chris for sure last night. Peter saying you prayed for player safety and Scottie prained his ankle. Perhaps if you didn't, he may have broke it. Keep praying, bro. I appreciate that, Peter. But no, I'm not going to do that. I have different kinds of, I'm a little bit of what did they call it? Superstitious person in some ways, and that's not the right income. Like even Stevie Roots coming to watch the first game with me, my best friend came over and watched the first game, and all kinds of fucking shit happened. I said, Steve, I don't know if we're gonna watch any more playoff games together this season, just because it's like I'm that kind of superstitious. And yeah, if I do something like that for the first time on my channel, and then something like that is the outcome, I appreciate you saying that maybe I was helping him from it not happening that bad, but to me, it's also like maybe we don't even want to introduce the thought of this kind of stuff happening. That as soon as you it's kind of like one time my friend of mine was saying, we're driving down the road. He's saying, be careful up here. There's a speed trap normally. Well, he said it and he put it into the world. And guess what happened? I get pulled over and I get a speeding ticket. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like once you introduce the idea of something being possible, then it has more of a reality of maybe possibly happening. And I'm just not going to acknowledge the risk of injury in games anymore before in the stream, because it's just not, it was a really bad turn of events. The one day that I did that prayer, it's crazy. But yeah, I do something personally before the game just by myself to kind of help protect them. And I've done this for years and years and years and stuff like that. So I'll keep doing that at least, Peter. But I appreciate you putting a good spin on it. Click2am saying Sixers fans are complaining about us responding to the physicality with physicality. What do they expect? For us to just sit there and do nothing? The refs are insanely inconsistent for Toronto. Yeah, listen, Philly fan, you should respect the Raptors for coming out and not just taking the hits and getting smacked in the face. And we have some fire, and that we are going to hit back, and that we did give some receipts. And I'm going to tell you right now, once I saw that one receipt where Pascal put Joel Embiid horizontal on the floor, that was like, yeah, he did it. And I was so proud of Pascal in that moment. I know maybe people think that's dirty and that's fucked up, but no, we needed to step up and show that we can't be pushed around. And that was exactly the right way to do it, because in a way, he did it in a legal way. They went and looked at it, tried to give him a flagrant, but they couldn't, because he didn't do anything unnecessary, but he still did it the right way. And he did get the intended results, which is him landing on the floor hard and feeling something. That's what was important about the receipt. And it had to happen. If we didn't see any receipts last night, that was like a kind of a checklist that I needed to see a Raptor put a receipt on Joel Embiid personally, specifically. And they got that out of the way pretty early, and they did it. And I was really happy to see that, because that showed a real fight. And like what Click is saying, it's like, what do you expect? You want us to just roll over? You just hit us in the face and we just roll over and go away? No, that's not who we are. We have to show that we want to compete and that we will meet you with your physicality. And that's what it is. And this is like with us also, with Sixer Nation, we are going to be biased. We're going to want things for favoring us, and we'll look the other way on things that are, not necessarily fair, that are in our favor and stuff like that. That's what Sixer fans doing right now. They can be very delusional about the referee situation right now, because it fits a narrative in their mind that says Joel Embiid is the MVP, he's the leading scorer, and he deserves everything he gets on the court no matter what. And that's not necessarily the reality of it, Sixer fan, but in your world, that may be the reality in your head. And part of this is Trump world, and the way it makes different people have different mindsets about what reality is in this world. And I'm not saying that our reality is completely the real, true reality in the whole entire world either. But at least we have our own perspective from where we sit and how we think about it all too. And it's valid. It's just as valid as y'all's is. That's what I'm saying. Sue saying, good morning, everyone. Another 8-on-5 game. They gave Embiid the calls, 30-12 for them. We shouldn't have to overcome this. It needs to be a fairly called game. Yeah, we shouldn't, but that's the reality of it. And you know what? In a lot of ways, in the championship run in 2019, this was the same then. There was a lot of bullshit we had to overcome. We had to be that much better. And we're just not right now. But I have so much hope for us in the future, that we are going to get better and better with our development, with guys like Scotty Barnes and Precious Achiuwa coming up with our team. And we're going to be way better next year. And these are the tough lessons, the playoff lessons that a young team needs to learn to be better at each stage in the playoffs. It's like the Sixers team had to learn some of these tough lessons in different places where they've been put out of the playoffs in the last couple of years. And they're building on top of that. And it may be that they're just a little bit above us on the escalator in the Eastern Conference as far as playoff experience and acumen in dealing with it. And that we will have our time. It's just that we have to grow into it. And we may be able to jump over the escalator steps on the Sixers and other teams faster. It's just that at this point in the present state, they're higher than us as far as playoff ready, as far as those kind of things. Sue, you're going to the game tomorrow night. You go out there and you lose your voice. You do the best you can. I know you will. And be a leader for the people around you in the stands. That if you see the fans start to chicken little tomorrow night because we're losing, and the confidence in the building starting to get sucked out, be a leader in the building for us. And be loud and get people loud no matter what. Tell them this now or never, and we need to do this. It's do or die now. And we have no time to have inconfidence or be like shaky as a crowd. We need to help them with their confidence when they may not have total confidence. We are the hand that reaches into the quagmire and the hole where they're in, and we're the ones pulling them out with our energy to help them get over the hump if they're in any trouble tomorrow night. Now, we'd love to see them just jump out all over them like they did last night, get the lead after the first quarter, and just run with it for the whole entire game and just win the game. But I'm talking about if there are some trouble times, Sue, I know you're going to do a good job when you go to the game. You and Monique are going. I'm really happy y'all will be there. Fan Chunk saying, hope the fans boo the referees for any bad calls tomorrow. Yeah, let's get on them as soon as we see it, but not before. Let's give them a chance to really show some home cooking for us. And that is something that our guys in the post-game interviews last night were talking about. Fred VanVleet saying, let's get back to Scotiabank Arena with our crowd, our building, and hopefully the referees will start giving us a little bit of favor. Because that is sometimes how it works. Like, referees, when they're sitting in there and they will hear all the voices, they will hear the fans, and it will influence them, especially if they feel like their lives are in trouble. Like where the Philly fan was probably yelling some crazy shit at them in the first two games when they got calls that they didn't like. They can be very vocal in their displeasure with the referees. And when you're out on the court with thousands of people yelling at you like that and hating you, it will influence you on the down low sometimes. The refs try and be tough and say, no, we're just going to call it the way we want to call it. But yeah, home court, that's part of the home court advantage is the disapproval of thousands of people in the moment and yelling at you and hating you all of a sudden can very much influence how you call a game. And that's how hopefully we can hopefully get some favor with them. Maybe we'll see a lot less calls for Joel tomorrow night. I hope so. That'd be really fair in some ways, considering how the first two games have gone. Sue's saying Embiid telling Nick Nurse to stop bitching about foul calls is not cool. Embiid is turning into a complete diva. No time for that sucky baby. Yeah, I really honestly, I thought he was better than this. Now I'm going to start making fun of him. To me, Joel Embiid looks like if you took Will Smith and crossed him with Frankenstein. You're like fucking Will Smith Frankenstein, motherfucker. That's who you are now. I'm going to call you Will Smith Frankenstein. And like, you look just as bad as Will Smith at the Oscars right now, Joel Embiid, with all your bullshit in this series. Like, listen, you can do this the right way and gain respect against your opponent. That's the best way to do it. Like, Michael Jordan would beat you so bad, you'd have to respect him. And Tyrese Maxey's beating us so bad, we have to respect him. But you know what? The way you're beating us, I can't respect. Because honestly, you look like a big fucking baby. You're looking like a poor winner. And you're also looking like a golden boy that gets everything handed to him on a platter by the referees. And you're still whining and bitching. So it's like, look, I can respect the Sixers as a whole, the Sixers as a team, the Sixers as coach, the Sixers other players, but Joel Embiid, you are somebody I do not respect. You're a fucking Frankenstein, Will Smith looking motherfucker. Igor, go get the brains because this motherfucker is lacking one. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. That motherfucker is missing the Frankenstein brain. He's just that's who he is at this point. Yeah, it's degenerated into that. A couple days ago, I was saying this guy's the MVP. Now I think he's a piece of shit. Frankenstein Will Smith. That's what we're calling him now. Yeah, Frankenstein Will Smith. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Peter's saying the refs got their marching orders in the march. Yeah, well, that's true. There's a thing that throughout the history of the NBA, Peter, where they send the NBA head office, the referees head office, Secaucus, will send bulletin points to the refs for things to concentrate and maybe objectives for them to have. And in game one of those objectives is let's hang 2 fouls on one of the key Raptors right away. And they probably have a list of the names like Pascal, Fred, Chris Boucher, OG. And they're saying, if you give any of these guys 2 fouls within the first minute, that is one of your objectives, refs. And they will actually do that. And then the other one might be, don't call any calls on Joel. Don't call any calls on him. If he does anything, give him calls. They would literally send these pieces of papers to the referees for how they wanted them to ref the games. And it was part of the thing called the Jordan rules and the different things that they did for Jordan to make sure that Jordan would stay in the game. They would give him golden boy calls because he's their moneymaker. He's the one that people tune in to see. So you don't want to see him get thrown out of the game. You don't want to see him get foul troubles where he can't be on the court. And that is a very specific way that the NBA will manipulate things for like ratings and money purposes right there. Brian's saying Raptors beat the Sixers 3 times this season. And now they're getting beat by double digits. Obviously, something has changed. Yeah, there's the intensity of the playoffs, the preparedness for the playoffs. There's a certain level of change in the refs, as we've said. But also, I think that in some ways we were ready, it seemed like, coming in the playoffs, but maybe we weren't. We weren't ready. And then also a lot of bad stuff happened all of a sudden, whether it's Scotty's injury, Gary being sick. All this stuff is a shitstorm of fucked up shit just happening all of a sudden, hurting the Raptors. And that is a lot of it also. It's like we needed to be full strength and ready. Like it seemed like we were on Saturday before the game. And then by the end of the game, we were in big trouble because we were missing all kinds of guys. And it was obvious Gary Trent was sick and different things like that. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's like, people are saying, oh, you beat us in this regular season, and now look at you and all this kind of stuff. Well, we did a good job in the regular season, and maybe we caught you guys at different times where you're not playing as well, and we were playing really well. There's all kinds of different factors to this, and this is the time where it matters, and we are not performing well enough to beat them right now, and it's too bad. But you know what? We're not that far off also. There's a couple of things. If they just click a little bit better right, like we normally do, then we would be way more competitive in this series right now. And there's been signs of it shown. Like out of the 8 quarters we've played so far, we've won 2 of them now. And, those were good quarters. And those were bright spots and building blocks to build off of for winning, hopefully some more games, winning some games in this series is what I'm looking at. Peter's just saying, just enjoy the spectacle. It's WWE. Yeah, I was really worried for a while, a couple of years ago. I felt like they were booking it like wrestling, that they just wanted the Lakers versus the Nets in the finals because they're allowing them to have these super teams where they can spend as much fucking money as they want, like the Yankees do in baseball, and they're just stacking all these Hall of Famers, all these guys on these teams. And I love that these experiments with these super teams has absolutely failed. That in some ways they're so inept and so fucked up that they can't even execute the golden path that the NBA wants for them, that they lay out for them. That if they really had their way, they'd have Boston versus the Lakers in the finals this year. Like if they could have that, but the Lakers are such a dumpster fire that that's just not going to happen. But maybe Boston will get there, and that'll be part of what they really want. That's just the damn truth of it. They have so much fans for Boston's and Lakers that they will favor them and do all kinds of shit to try and help them on the down low in all kinds of different ways, with the marketing, whether it's the way they do different things. The referees in particular may help them to a degree. And I don't disagree with Peter in a way that is not that far off from the scriptedness of the WWE. Yeah. Raymond Jacobs saying that Brian, Fred's knees, Barnes' ankles, Gary's flu, there's all that kind of stuff. The referees, I mean, the physicality that Joel Embiid started throwing around right away in the first game. This is all stuff that like put us off the rails. And kudos to the Sixers. They had a good game plan, and they're doing exactly what they needed to do to win the series. And, they deserve it right now. That's what I'll keep saying. They deserve it right now, even if we feel like they don't, because of the referees helping them. They do deserve it because they are beating us. Sure. That just means we have to be that much better and overcome all of it. Sue saying, honestly, it was Maxey going off in the second that lost us the game, though. When Embiid was being treated like a king, we still won that first quarter. We have to slow Maxey down. Embiid can get his 30. Yeah, that is exactly where we got busted open originally in the first part, and they got the double-digit lead, and they started going off on us. Maxey in the midway through the second quarter, and then when we were, like I said later, when we were making a run to try and come back, that turnover off of OG's foot just killed that momentum right then, and it's too bad that it happened that way because we were doing really good coming back, and there was a chance for us to steal that game. Seriously, Sixer fan may not believe that, but there was. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Sue saying, let him have it. Just stop Maxey. We did. Let me see what we did, though, Embiid last night. I think we weren't as good against Embiid in some ways as we were in the first game. And that actually does show with the scoring. He had 31 points, 9 of 16, 12 for 14 at the line. He got almost all those free throws in the first quarter. They really set the tone with that. Yeah, 31 points to me is too much for Embiid in some ways. We did way better against them in the first game. But I like your strategy as far as saying, like, don't worry about Embiid. Let Embiid do anything because he's going to do it anyway. But, yeah, key on Maxey for sure. I think you're right, Sue, that we really do need to make sure that he absolutely gets shut down. Callie's saying, I really believe the key is to stop Maxey when Embiid's on the bench. Callie's kind of echoing what we're saying right now anyway. Leslie's saying, I'm so tired of the conversation about being the only Canadian team in the NBA and the MLB. We have great teams, but we know that we have to fight for everything. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Like, Leslie, it's just an unfortunate thing. Listen, I grew up in the States. I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida as a little kid. I went to school as the Canadian kid in the South. And, I've heard the way that Americans think about Canada. And I've heard the way that America has an idea of what Canada is and what different things. And there is weird perceptions, very weird perceptions of people below the border that honestly, just to put it frankly, they're uneducated and ignorant. These are people that will never leave like their small town in Podunk, Kentucky, and be like, that's their world. And then they have an idea about what the rest of the world is like just from their own small little sliver. And, that's part of it. But then also, like I said, it's capitalism and economics and where money can be made. And ultimately, in some ways, it's not in the best interest of some of the sports leagues for them to have Canadian champions. Because when you win a championship, that is an economic boon for the city that wins it. That's part of the reason why winning a championship is kind of an investment. That if like Larry Tannenbaum and the owners of the Raptors want to invest and help Toronto, they want to win championships because it brings money back to them, brings it back to the city, brings it back to the team and stuff. And the NBA may have seen in 2019 that kind of effect and it all the windfall going here. And they're like, we could never let this happen again. And I hate to be pessimistic and think that, but also, like Peter's saying, we need to open our eyes and understand the possibilities and the reasoning for why we do get slighted and why there may be forces underneath in the NBA head office that do not want us to get close to winning another championship ever again. Stuff like that. And it sucks. And I know the Blue Jays go through a lot of similar things with their team in the MLB, but I in some ways I feel like the Blue Jays have it easier in some ways because they're a little more established. They're an older team and they're a little bit more like respected for all the battles that they've had to deal and put up with in the American League East with the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Rays and stuff like that. So, but this is very true. There is a Canada discount for Canadian teams in American sports leagues. And it's just a pure fact of the terrain that we got to deal with and where we're starting. And that's why we got to be so badass and be that much better and be that much more talented and that much in all kinds of different ways to get real good results. And that even when we're that way, they're going to try and figure out ways to nefariously try and fuck us up in different kind of ways and stuff like that. That's why part of it is really amazing that we did get that 2019 championship. And that anybody who discounts it, man, you're actually doing the opposite of what you should be doing. You should be giving us extra kudos for actually overcoming all the things that are actually trying to stop Toronto from winning championships. And that makes it even more impressive in some ways. Peter's saying it must be hard for players to give 110% when they know the fix is in. You can see it in their body language. Just play for your paycheck and try and make it look good. That's what I would do. Well, that is a factor. And that's part of the reason why people like Vince Carter and Chris Bosh didn't have any respect for playing for our team and just up and left. They kind of like, well, I'm working so hard and trying to do all this stuff. And I see it's easier for other people on other teams in different ways. So they throw their hands up and they want to go somewhere else. Well, I really like the people that have stuck around and like built respect here. Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, that they have stuck around and invested themselves into this team because they could very easily just throw their hands up and be like, fuck this. It would be easier for me if I went and played for the Knicks or something like that, but that's why I have so much pride and love for the guys who choose to stay here and say, that's one of the things I worry about down low with Scotty Barnes is that in some ways, yeah, he may see what we're talking about right now. And he'd be like, I want things to be easier for me. So I'm going to go somewhere else because I know in Toronto, it may be even harder just because of the situation being the Canadian team and stuff like that. But it was a lot worse because the players even on the team are superstars, our franchise players were not bought in to this whole idea of helping the team and being honorable or loyal to the Raptors. And they got sick of the mistreatment and the unfairness, and they threw their hands up and took off. That's why Chris Bosh went with LeBron James to Miami. This is why Vince Carter partly left, is because of the dysfunction of our team and different things like that. So Leslie is saying, thanks, Fred. Bet on yourself. That's right. We got to just continue to do this. We got to realize that it's a process, that we can't be right back up at the top all the way, that being in the playoffs and being a full playoff team is a huge accomplishment in itself. You've got to look at the other teams around us, like Cleveland. Look at what their season ended up being, or, people like that. And we had a really good, successful season, even if we go out in the first round to Philadelphia. And that it's all perspective. We got to look at it and build from it. And it may be that next year is we're going to be even more of a force and even more deadlier and tougher to put out for different reasons, whether we upgrade this offseason with free agency and different things. And, just in general, the guys we have right now in our core are going to be better next year, even more so with more time together and more experience just as NBA players. So the future is real bright for the Raptors, no matter what happens with this series and the rest of this these games that we play against Philly. Let's see. Nishani's here. Good to see Nishani. Embiid was trying to get Nick teed up and kicked out. You're absolutely right. He was being disrespectful to Nick. There's no reason for him to be talking to Nick. Really don't like Embiid. Yeah, there's no reason to be over there, Joel. Like, shake his hand and say, a good game. We won. We'll see you next game. That's all you need to say. Don't go back and forth. Because listen, down the road, you don't know what could happen in the NBA. You could end up having to play for Nick Nurse at some point. It's probably not likely because Nick Nurse will be here and you'll probably be in Philadelphia. But you do need to really kind of watch out for that kind of intersection of how things could come up in the future. and how things happen. And like that is, it's just like he really kind of made an ass of himself in the post game when he said, I was respectful to him and I said told him to quit bitching. Well, that's an oxymoron. You're basically contradicting yourself, because when you say that to a head coach, that's not being respectful. You're being disrespectful to him. And in some ways, Nick Nurse deserves respect because this is a man who's won an NBA championship and you have not, Joel. So maybe you need to be a little more respectful of your elders and also people that have done something that you have not done yet, is what I'll say right there. Yeah. Sue's saying Embiid has never changed. He has always been a jerk. I know you were trying to give him benefit of the doubt before, but he doesn't deserve it. He's just a knob. Like, he keeps proving it over and over again. You know what, Sue? You're exactly right. And I have to admit I was wrong. I was trying to see the best in him, and I have to realize now, not yet. You're right. He is always been a jerk. And then I've just tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. And now I will not do this anymore. I'm not going to be fooled by this anymore. I really honestly think that I just felt sorry for him because of the series before and the way he cried and stuff like that. See, I'm not the kind of person that's cruel and wants to be a bully and beat up on somebody who's sad and upset like that. I have a humanistic heart that bleeds for people that are hurt or sad and stuff like that. And, you know, maybe I need to be a little more cutthroat in this kind of situation. Say, fuck you, Joel Embiid. I'm glad you're crying, you fucking little whiny bitch, Frankenstein Will Smith. You know, that's what I'm calling him from now. Frankenstein Will Smith. We'll call him Will Smith Frankenstein. All right, let's keep going. All right, I have a feeling Sixer fan has showed up, and we'll have to see what they're saying. Okay, yeah, I see Blue City. Thanks for the subscribes, Blue City. Really, seriously. I appreciate it. All right. Okay. We're going to see. Okay. I see some brooms there. Where's G? G, if you want to be ahead of me, you can go ahead and be ahead of me, Mr. Wrench. If you've heard me say this, you go ahead and just clear the trash, because honestly, I don't really want to read a whole lot of Sixers comments today. G, so if you want to be a little bit of a street sweeper before I come through, I would appreciate that. I'm just asking you as my moderator here. All right, let's see. Callie's saying, I think if we attack the paint aggressively, we may have a chance to force the refs to blow the whistle. Pascal looks somewhat tentative. He's trying. There's different things. Like, it's a whole balance of sacrificing your body, leaving enough in the tank, being smart about what they're giving you. Like, they were giving him a lot of the outside shot last night. Like, they were laying off of him and letting him shoot from the outside, and he was hit and miss with his outside shot. He had some moments where he was okay. What did he shoot last night? Let me look at Pascal. He was 7 for 20. That's not very good. He missed his only 3. Yeah, Pascal could have been way more on. And that's what Fred was saying after the game. Like, it's not the bench. The bench don't need to step up. Fred himself and Pascal need to step up as the leaders of the team, is part of it. Yeah, and that's a really good way of doing it, is coming right at them, pushing them on their backs of their heels and coming straight at them. And hopefully we'll see more of that. And like I said, maybe we get some home cooking with the referees tomorrow, and that we actually start getting, maybe we get really imbalanced calls going our way, and they're specifically feeding Pascal and getting him on the free throw line like Embiid has been getting. Callie's saying, Jack didn't sound like a Raptors fan. He kept going on about how good the Sixers were, on and on. Well, you know, in some ways, Jack has to give credit. Like, one of the things that our Toronto announcers tried to strive for really early on was being completely fair. In fact, they weren't homers at all. They were more likely to call the game in the early 90s in favor of the other team, even though they were our own announcers. It was that fucked up. So really, the homerism in our announce crew is very kind of new. In the last 5-10 years has happened more and more. And Jack, he has to do this because he has to show that he is watching the game and being fair and balanced to a degree. And I know I hate it hearing it too. It's kind of like having some insult to injury with us losing already. Now we're hearing our announcers speak glowingly of the other team. But in some ways, like I'm saying this morning, I have to speak glowingly about them too, because they're doing a good job. The Sixers are doing a good job controlling the series, and they are the better team right now. It's like Sixer fans hearing this, eat it up, because this is the truth coming from the Raptor fan, and I can see that. I won't say that y'all aren't the better team right now and you aren't beating us. You know, even with all the ref stuff, I'll separate that and say, yeah, that's part of it. But even though you guys are still beating us, and that's the problem. We need to be a better team and play better and match up better with them overall. And we're not doing that. Blue City's here. Once again, thanks for the subscribe. If the Sixers get all the calls in Toronto and the Sixers win in Toronto, what will you do? Well, this is what I'll do. I'll tell you, Blue City, we're going to be fine. We got to really keep a couple of different perspectives here. We can keep the short term perspective in the moment, playing against the Sixers game to game, like what we're doing right now. And then we got to keep the long term perspective of our franchise and the direction it's heading and the things that we've got going for our team in different ways and stuff like that. It's just how you got to do it. And that, listen, if you guys come to Toronto tomorrow night and you guys are getting the same exact calls and everything goes exactly the same way, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see specifically how it all went down. If the Raptors are losing and they're straight up just losing to the Sixers and the game's over and you guys deserve flowers, I'll give them to you guys. Honestly, I will. It's not like I'm going to be totally unbiased and just say, fuck you, I hate you, you beat us, and stuff like that. I have respect for teams that beat us correctly. And most of your team, I'm going to say right now, 90% of your team is very respectful in the way that they're beating us. There's a certain 10% that isn't, and is really your main big guy, is the guy that I have no respect for right now. And it's really because he's a golden boy in the NBA and the referees are holding his hand. But the other guys, whole ton of respect, like specifically for Maxey and Harris. Harris has become a huge factor in this series. We were hoping he would not be, and he has stepped up. And that's good for y'all because you invested a lot of money in him and you need some return on him. So that's really good for y'all that you're getting a return for a huge money contract. And that's great. And Danny Green, too. It's like, he's playing really well last night in different ways and stuff like that. So that's the way I'll be, Blue City. I'll give you guys your flowers. You put us out, you sweep us, whatever, we'll see. I still think that our guys have some fight in them. They are not have their head down. The way we closed the game out last night, we were still fighting and we were trying right up until the end of the game. And you should expect that still. This is not going to be done until you guys absolutely beat us. And, it's been a fun series to a degree, I'm sure, for you guys, but not for us in a lot of ways. But also, we're proud. We got to be proud of our team for this year and a lot of the things we've accomplished, no matter what, even if we lose in the first round to Philadelphia. Peter's, let's see, Lumpy Rex saying Raptors have nothing to lose. Yep. Yeah, we're playing with house money at this point. Peter's saying if it's not that they get the calls, they will get the calls. I watch NBA. I watch NASCAR for the crashes. This is the first time NASCAR has been brought up on the channel this year. That's interesting. Peter, yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're already pessimistic and feeling like that Philly's just going to get the calls no matter what tomorrow. Well, that's why we need our crowd to be really on the refs. Like I was saying earlier, that we can, mob mentality and mob rule, mob kind of force on people can actually have some interesting results. So hopefully we can really peer pressure the refs to be a little fairer to the Raptors having our home court there with our home fans and stuff like that. Paul B saying the defense is lacking right now. It really is. It is lacking. And that's part of the reason why I'm disappointed in the Raptors is that we're not showing the same standard of quality of defense that we showed throughout most of the season. That we would have lapses here and there, but for the most part, we were still playing that really solid, sound thing. Now, is that a testament to us not playing our defense fully, or is it a testament to the Sixers offense really kicking ass and doing a good job? I don't know. It's somewhere in the middle. And, the effort in the first game was definitely not there. And the effort was way better last night. And at times we were showing the right, correct defensive intensity, specifically in that fourth quarter last night, where we only let the Sixers score 17 points in the fourth quarter. We need more quarters like that, is what I'm saying, because they've been scoring way too much in this series. They've been having it too easy with their scoring, and we do need to clamp them down, especially here in Toronto, for sure. Let's see. G saying Raps made more baskets and had 12 more points in the paint. Yeah, we did win a couple of categories in this game, unlike we did in the first game. We didn't win any categories in the first game. Let me just look at it real quick. We did end up with 20 more shots, 20 more field goal attempts, which is great because that is something normal for us. In the last game, Philly had more shots, so we were getting more attempts, which is really good, but we didn't shoot that well compared to them. They still shot over 50%, and we shot 42. That's a huge bad thing right there. They deserve the win because of that. The three-pointers weren't that good either. Fred started really hot, but then we got really cold in the middle, and we ended up shooting 34% from three. They shot 46% from three. That's a big difference. They got way more free throws than us, and we shot okay at the free throw line, but we just didn't get there as much. And obviously, if they're going to get 30 attempts at the free throw line, and we're going to lose by 15 points, and we only got 12 attempts, you do the math. That does help things to a degree. They did out rebound us. We were talking about this as being a battle that's going to be important in the preview yesterday, and they won, and they did win the rebounding battle, which is too bad. But we did get 13 offensive rebounds, which we didn't get any hardly in the first game. So that's an improvement. They had way too many blocks. I'm amazed that they had 12 blocks. I don't even know who had all those blocks. Like, where did they get 12 blocks? I'm pretty sure Joel Embiid probably had his fair share. But let me see this on their side. Who had all these blocks? Okay, 3 by Harris, 2 by Danny Green, 2 by Harden, 3 by Thibault. Wow. And Embiid didn't even have a single one of those blocks. That's insane. That is really insane. But you know what? That's a testament to them playing good defense. Good job, Sixers, getting 12 blocks, and not a single one was Joel Embiid. That is actually, that's really impressive. I got to honestly clap to that. They got 12 blocks, and none of them were by Joel. We did win the points in the paint by 12. They won the fast break, which wasn't good. It's just little things like that. Like, we did win some of our battles that we didn't win in the first game. And that is a build on top of what we hadn't done already. So, all right, let's keep going. Let's see. G saying, calling us babies. Meanwhile, Embiid cries all game. If it was the other way around, they would be giving refs death threats. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Listen, Philly fans, no joke. They care a lot about their team, and they've lost for so many years. So many years. Philly fan has not had a whole lot to cheer for. So it's kind of like they're a dormant volcano that finally has some confidence, and they're feeling real good. So now somewhere here in their worst, and they got a little bit they can brag about, and they're going to really come out, because this is what they've been waiting for years and years, to be able to brag like this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I appreciate it, G, if you're already using your wrench. That's awesome. I hope Gary doesn't have something. I hope Gary doesn't have something more. Like, as far as illness, yeah, I don't understand what's wrong with him. This is really weird illness. He's absolutely weak. And we need to find out more about it in the ways that we can, at least. Like, I know there's privacy and stuff like that, but we need to understand what's going on here. I totally agree, G. And if I wanted to watch fake BS in sports, I'd watch WWE. Yeah, and that's really bad these days. So you do not want to watch WWE. Trust me. You're better off going back and watching some old WWF. But yeah, Gary did not look good at all. I'm not sure if you guys are probably responding to somebody that G's already kicked out, which I'm okay with. G's saying, Sue, Embiid flew through the air when Malachi touched him on a PNR. Yeah, there's a lot of soccer over embellishment with his body. Like, for being such a big, strong badass, he really gets tossed around by a little 6'3" guy real easy. Really, really easy. Brian saying that, G, agreed. Harden and Embiid still complaining when they already get all the calls is just salt in the wound. I know, that's part of what I'm like, what the fuck? You're getting all these calls. Why are you so upset? Like, why are you so mad at the end of the game that you have to talk to our coach? You should be like smiling and be like, yeah, mission accomplished. We're happy. That's like, what the fuck is this? Like, just take your win and be happy. You do not need to go and talk shit and do shit like that. It's just not classy. And like, listen, we'll be good losers in this situation. You guys be good winners. That's what we're asking for at this point. If we're going to lose this series, you guys are going to come in, and I'm probably going to have to deal with some bullshit. And I hope G will wield his wrench, as because like, in some ways, when we lose to them, if we lose to them, I said when we do, which unfortunately I did, but the writing's on the wall in a lot of ways. Gee, I want you to use that wrench, because I'm not going to put up with them after we're done. It's all going to be just Raptors and talking Raptors at that point. It's like, we'll talk to Sixers fan while we're playing, and respectful Sixers fan, as we know who they are: J.O., Blue City, Random Gamer. But the other ones that come in here and they're just going to try and sink their talons and just like kind of go off on us and be like, ooh, bullies and shit like that, kick them right the fuck out. I don't even want to read them when we get to that point. So, all right, let's see. G saying, Sue, Embiid flew through the air when Malachi touched him on a PNR. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I read that one. Brian saying that, G, agreed. Oh yeah, I read that one. Escobar Cruz is saying, do you think the Raptors are playing too much iso ball? I do, Escobar Cruz. Honestly, this is a huge thing that I've been griping about this whole season, in fact. And I don't know if it's just part of our development or just the way they part of it is because they want to limit turnovers. If you don't pass the ball back and forth, that limits turnovers. That's actually the logic of part of the reason why they play so much iso, is if you don't pass it, you can't turn the ball over because the pass gets stolen or something like that. And that is part of the reason why they're doing it. And I agree with this. I think they are playing a bit too much of it. There was one play where we saw really nice pick and roll and a screen for Fred right at the beginning of the game where he got a wide open three and he hit it. That's what we need to see more off of, playing off of each other, whether it's screens at the top coming around or pick and roll or give and go or any of that kind of stuff. These are really important, easy ways to get easier baskets than trying to just isolate and beat a guy one-on-one. So I completely agree with Escobar's observation here that we are playing too much iso ball and they need to be playing off each other more. And another thing is last night, Kem Birch, once again, he gets the ball in the lane and he has the shot, but he's throwing it to a three-point shooter. Why are you doing that, Kem? You were 2 for 3 last night. You hit the one three-pointer that you took, and like you can shoot good. We want you to shoot. You need to get more points. These are easier points when you're in the basket, near the basket, in the lane, 10 feet away, and you can just shoot over them. Stop fucking kicking it back out to the three-point shooter, OG, who might make it also, but it's way better if you take that shot in the middle because it's going to open things up because it's going to mean they're going to have to come and attack you more, and the other guys will be wide open. In fact, you being selfish may be unselfish in itself, Cam. So you need to take that shot. If you've got it right there, you do need to stop looking to pass so much. It's pissing me off, Kem Birch. You need to shoot it. Oh, my gosh. Leslie saying, I'm still hopeful for the Raptors because coming home for them is huge. This is the only team in the NBA that had to play away from home. Yeah, we've been through a lot of different things. We've done a lot of stuff. And people that say we complain too much about this and that, well, listen, we've had more of our share of fuckery and bullshit, whether it's playing in Tampa last year, whether it's having our building closed for half of our year this year, different shit like that. And it's like we could complain way more than we do. We don't actually complain about a lot of the stuff that we should complain about, like last year with the COVID and all this kind of shit. You know, we have actually stood proud and weathered a lot of bullshit. And it's just at a certain point, we've had enough. And it's like, this is fucking bullshit. We've had enough is what we're getting to at a certain point. So it's not like we're whiners or crying babies all the time. It's like right now we are to a degree because the refs are really fucking egregious in the difference of how they're calling for Sixers and how they're calling for Raptors right now. It's just the damn truth. And it's like, listen, you take Sixers fan and Raptors fan out of the voting, like in a survivor vote, that you can't vote for those two can't vote. And you take every other fan nation in the NBA and you ask them whether they think the Sixers are getting favoritism. And I will bet you money, other fan nations that aren't even involved in this series will come in and tell you the Sixers are getting unfavorable call or getting the favorable calls and that the Raptors are getting the shaft. Oh, yeah. You go get Celtics fan. You go get Magic fan. You go get Hawks fan. You go get Cavaliers fan. You take a poll of all the other fan nations, and they will be on our side in how we see this Sixers nation. And you will see that you guys are getting good treatment. Trust me. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. G Sands, Embiid stopped injuring players after that from Pascal. He did. I mean, that was a receipt that needed to be given. So I'm really happy that Pascal did that. That was honestly one of the biggest things that made me smile and made me think these guys are not going to give up. They're going to keep going. G also said it was the same in the chip year. Kawhi said he didn't get the calls as much as a Raptor, but they were able to overcome it. Yeah, see, a caliber of player like Kawhi was getting the shaft on calls. As a superstar in this league, a bona fide superstar, they were not giving him everything that he would normally get on another team like the Clippers. And that was how badass the 2019 team was. They overcame all that. And the Raptors are just going to have to do that again and do that again and again. And Masai Ujiri is going to have to be badass and perfect. Nick Nurse is going to be badass and perfect. And our players are going to have to be badass and perfect to get over the hump in what we're facing in the NBA. And some of us can bitch and cry and say, oh, it's just not worth it. It's so unfair. Well, this is the challenge we've been given. And we are ready to take it. And we all understand it from the top to the bottom. Masai Ujiri understands it at the top, and I understand it down here at the bottom. That this is just the lay of the land, the terrain, and the Raptors fan nation, the Raptors team just has to put up with it and overcome it. Because that's what makes it all the sweeter and badass when we do it, when we do overcome it, because I know we will. I know we will. In the coming years, we're going to win a second championship, and it is going to be all the sweeter because we overcame all this kind of bullshit. We did, and then it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. Click to Am saying a lot of bandwagoners are leaving. Thank God. I hope the real Raptors fans show up tomorrow. I want to hear defense chants, we the North chants, and let's go Raptors chants for 48 minutes. Yeah, listen, there's a fair weather sports fans here in Toronto that only cheer their team when they're winning, and if they're kind of perceived from the outside as being losers, or we lost 2 games in a row. They all jump ship and they all take off. They're not going to be there with the team like we are, and that is part of the reason why we built this channel this year, is to have a place for Raptor fans that are positive, that believe in their team no matter what, to powwow and get together and talk and still stay strong together. And this is what separates this. You're exactly right, Click. That there's going to be a lot of people that are going to not want to associate themselves with the Raptors all of a sudden that were this season. All of a sudden, yeah, they want to be there when everything's sunshiny and great, but when things are cloudy and tough, they go away. And that's fine. I don't mind. They strengthen us when we do need them, when things are going really good, but they aren't real ones. They aren't like us. And that's why we're going to keep going. And I'll be here every morning. I don't give a shit if we look embarrassed or humiliated and people want to come in here and tell me I'm a fool and make fun of me. I'm going to come in every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and talk Raptors. I don't give a shit. And I'm going to do it all summer long. All off season, we're going to keep up with the Raptors news and everything. And like I said, I don't follow the NBA playoffs after the Raptors go out. I will pay attention to the scores and who's winning just on a surface level. I won't be watching the games, but I'll pay attention to the stats and stuff like that and the outcomes. So I'll have a knowledgeable base to talk about that kind of stuff if you guys do want to talk about the playoffs. But once they're done, I stop watching basketball for the year. And I really start to focus on other aspects of my life. But I'm committed to do this channel all season and all off season also. And we're going to have a lot of fun stuff. I have all kinds of great clips that we're producing and we're going to put together for this summer. So all kinds of fun stuff every single day. We're going to play trivia. We're going to do watch alongs. I'm going to have the Sunday report, which is going to be like a 60 minutes kind of a news magazine kind of report. We're going to do a report on the refs. We're going to do a report on like things like what the Raptors should do in the future. There's another journalistic integrity in sports these days with the whole Twitter and like all kinds of different avenues, and who's actually a journalist, who's a pundit, and who's like maybe should be like really not making jokes like Doug Smith did this season. The different stories like that. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff this summer. So I hope y'all will keep watching this summer, even though we may not be playing any more basketball. Keep watching if you love the Raptors and you still want to talk about them and stuff like that. So, all right, let's see. Click saying, I want to see Jurassic Park. I want to see people support this team even if we lose. Yes, I completely agree with that. Click's also saying, when it doesn't go Embiid's way, he's a bitch. When it does, he's arrogant and cocky. It's like nothing's good for him. Either way, he looks like a negative asshole. Like, I can understand, like, if things aren't going your way and you're whining and crying and stuff like that, I can understand that. But things are going your way. What the fuck is wrong with you, Joel? Things are going your way. You're fucking, oh my gosh. Anyway, Tom Duke saying, glad you stopped sticking up for Mbum. Yeah, you know what? You're right, Tom. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was trying to give him respect as a person, and I guess I didn't really know him as well as I should have. And now I do. And you know what? I'm not going to go back on this ever again. He's dead to me in my books as far as respectability. That at this point, even if he starts to show some maturity and growth as a human being later on, I'm always going to remember this series, game one. And also, I'm going to have to keep remembering the plane and the fucking stupid ass shit from when we played him and put him out before and made him a big fucking baby. Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to remember that also. Let's see. G saying, Embiid is being competitive and doing whatever it takes to win. His style is off-putting, though. Yeah, I understand that like he can do that kind of stuff, but listen, you're the biggest dude on the court. You have everything handed to you by the refs. You could be more classy. You could do this in a way more like Maxey. You could do this in a way more like James Harden. I can't believe I'm saying that. James Harden looks like a classy dude compared to Joel Embiid right now. And that's what I'm saying right now. Let your game speak for yourself, not you speaking for yourself, and definitely not to the opposing coach or just in general, the way you've been acting, even in your press conferences. Honestly, I've lost respect for him in this way also. I don't think he's that smart. Like, I thought his IQ was higher than it is, but I don't think it is. I think he is really kind of dumb. Like, there's a little bit of an intelligence issue with him to a degree also. All right, let's see. Cece's here. Good to see Cece. Haven't seen you in a bit. A concern referring to Gary was sick in LA, missed going to Tupac Museum with the team, was sick last seasonal game in New York City, has been ill since. That's right, Cece. Maybe there has been a pattern of him having some sort of issue, health issue he's been battling. Yeah, I don't like to hear about all this, CC. And like I said, hopefully more will be revealed in a way that is divulging his privacy, but also gives information to the fans and understanding exactly what's happened with him and stuff like that. G saying, CC, that's horrible. I hope that's not something more than just an illness, as do I. Tom Duke saying, yeah, he is good. So is the Joker. Did you see Joker going after Gary Payton Jr. for blocking him? Another big baby. Yeah, these guys are, part of it is that they're very young also. We have to remember these guys are guys in their 20s. In some ways, like once again, like LeBron, people get coddled when they're found too young and they're like, oh, you're going to be an NBA pro. Everybody becomes a yes man. Everybody sucks their dick and feeds their ego. And they kind of lose a little bit of a development in maturity as people as they get older. And not like Scotty. Scotty's the kind of guy who's well grounded and has feet on the ground that he can see it all even at 20. Like in some ways, I think Scotty Barnes is more mature and grown up than people like Jokic and Embiid in some ways, just because of the way he carries himself and stuff like that. But yeah, Jokic is just as much as a goon as Embiid. So in some ways, I kind of want Giannis to win the MVP. Now, as crazy as that sounds, like I like Giannis the most out of the top three candidates, because even he has his moments with being whiny and different things like that, but he's not as bad as those other two. That's for sure. G saying, Tom, I think Joker went after him for smacking his butt. If that's the same play. Yeah, I didn't see any of that. I haven't watched the Denver Golden State games or anything like that. I do see that Golden State has been taking care of them pretty good, though. Tom Duke saying, oh my gosh, that was a while ago. Sick for too long. Prayers for Gary. Yeah, it's too long for him to be sick. That's why I'm wondering what the fuck is wrong with him. Tom Duke saying, I didn't see that. Just thought he looked at him. Fair enough then, but obvious he has buttons you can push. Yeah, I'm not sure. You guys are talking about Jokic still. G saying, no, he smacked it, and it wasn't just a quick smack from what I saw. Blue City saying, I did expect game 2 to be physical, and I did have your Raptors getting us a fight. Yeah, we had to. It's just pride at this point, Blue City. It's like we can't roll over. We can't be a team that just folds and says, wave the white flag. You guys are going to win this series after just one game. We had to make a response. And, in some ways, our guys did a good job of doing it in a stealthy way. They did it in a good way of us not getting too punished for it. And they also did it in a way that wasn't like really like egregiously trying to hurt your guys. Like we weren't really trying to hurt them. We're just trying to give some receipts of physicality and show like, no, you're not going to push us around. And part of it was also those double texts with Joel Embiid and OG not backing down to him. That was important, because that kind of stuff is a respect thing as far as between two teams. Like you want to have them respect you to a certain degree with the physicality and stuff like that. And yeah, we're not going to, like I said, we're not going to just roll over and wave the white flag and say, oh, it's over, you guys have won. We're going to fight all the way till the end. And you guys are playing great, and you're on line to win this series. And you know what? If you guys win it, that's a good accomplishment, and I will have respect for 90% of your team. As I said, most of your guys, like Maxey's a badass. Once again, he's a stud. You guys are so lucky you guys have him. He's a real gem. And if I was a Sixer fan, I'd be so excited about the prospects of what Tyrese Maxey has in the future for him, for sure. CC saying at G and at Tom Duke, yes, I've been tracking Gary's sickness. CC has a vested interest in Gary's well-being, and I'm not going to question why or wonder why too far. It may be because he's a handsome guy, but yeah, CC, let us know if you find out anything more about Gary's sickness and the mystery behind it and stuff like that. All right, let's see. Lion Hunters here. This is a new name. Let's see what's up. The Raptors play a very aggressive style of defense. The officiating isn't allowing them to play up to that potential. Yeah, that is part of it. It's like, how do you play different? People are saying, what's the difference between the regular season and this season? Well, in the regular season, the refs swallow their whistles a lot, and they did allow the Raptors to play with a certain amount of physicality that is not being allowed now. And that's weird, because in the playoffs, it normally goes the other way. They're like wide open, more physicality in all kinds of ways. but they're not allowing this is exactly right, Lion Hunter's saying, is they're not allowing the Raptors to have the same kind of physical intensity on their defense that they did in the regular season. And that's a big difference. That's a shift in the wrong direction from what you expect going into the playoffs. So let them play. Let them play a more physical brand of the playoffs. No, we're going to call ticky-tack shit. We're going to give them all the free throw calls that they normally get in the regular season, and there's not going to be any kind of difference in that way. And that really does make it tough for us with our style and how we like to play. This is a really good astute observation here. Kay Brown's here. I think Raptors have a really good chance of beating the Sixers, but only if the game is being refed 100%. Yeah, I mean, listen, we have to win tomorrow. We have to win, like, to stop the sweep, to protect our home court, to just even have a chance in this series. There's no way if we lose tomorrow that we're going to win the series. There's statistically in the history of the NBA, it just doesn't happen. So tomorrow is absolutely a must win. And for once, the pressure is super, super hard on the Raptors compared to the Sixers. In the first two games, the pressure really was on the Sixers to make sure they protect their home court, and they were successful. So now we have to do the exact same thing on our home court. And I love that you're optimistic about it, Kay, and I appreciate that. I hope you'll hit the red subscribe button. And I appreciate you being so believing in the Raptors. I'm with you. I'm with you too. Blue City saying also, I will not be surprised if the Raptors get all the calls in Toronto and win, but I will be a little surprised if the Sixers get all the calls in Toronto and win. Yeah, see, Sixers fans already seeing that, like, the home court advantage may be in effect for this series, and they've gotten real good favoritism at their place. Now, maybe we will at our place, but there's nothing guaranteed. Like Peter's brought in, the NBA may have an objective to put us out as easy as possible, and they may, like, that may be part of it. But yeah, we'll see. Blue City, I mean, I know you'll be pleasantly surprised if you guys win no matter what, whether we get the calls or not. And we'll just have to see how it all plays out. Once again, I respect you being here and being able to talk to us in a way, unlike some of the other Sixers fans that have come in here this morning already. That is really awesome, and it is community building for the NBA. And yeah, we'll just have to see. The games have been entertaining, to say the least, not in the way that we want it, but entertaining for you guys, and very happy and hopeful for Sixer Nation for sure. And I gotta admit that in those kind of ways, you guys are playing great, and like, you should be real happy with your team, and like, feel some good optimism. These later rounds, if you get past us, will be tough. Miami in the next round is going to be a tough matchup, but I think you guys might do a good job and really kind of battle with them pretty good. But I still hope that we're the ones playing our former teammate Kyle Lowry somehow, some way. G saying, I want Nurse to go with an all big lineup. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Try that out. If Fred's knee and things aren't happening the right way, put OG on Tyrese Maxey and have everybody else just as tall as OG out there. That could be interesting strategy to try. Teflon saying, not having Gary Trent, Thad, and Scotty really hurts the team. Fred is also injured. Raptors just don't have enough healthy bodies, and Raps bench hasn't played all season. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our Achilles heels are kind of showing at this point in the playoffs at the time when we don't need. It's just a lack of bench depth is something we have not had this year. We have not had a bench. We've needed our starters, and now having two starters not available, and then one of our really key veterans not available in a lot of ways, is a huge detriment and a huge part of the reason why we're not matching up talent-wise with them right now in a good way. G's giving respect to Blue City, and a good positive Sixer fan. Respect from Raptor Nation. Peter M saying, a few good men. You don't need I got to remember, is this Tom Cruise or Jack Nicholson? Because I'll do the impression. I think it's Jack. You don't need to wear a patch on your arm to have honor. I love it. Scotty, you don't need the NBA's Rookie of the Year to be my Rookie of the Year. All right, since Peter has brought it up, I'm going to bring this up real quick because there has been more changes in the Rookie of the Year voting on the spreadsheet that we've been following this past weekend. Now Evan Mobley has a 6-point lead on Scotty Barnes in the overall points. And it's really because of people like Jalen Rose, came in and voted for Evan Mobley. And the Cleveland Athletic guy, of course, he's going to vote for Evan Mobley, the person who's for the Athletic, the writer for the Athletic for Cleveland Cavaliers has voted for Evan Mobley. And then there's another person from ESPN that has voted for Evan Mobley. There's been 3 straight up Evan Mobley votes in the last day that have been revealed. And now Evan Mobley is actually slightly ahead of Scotty Barnes in the Rookie of the Year voting. I hate seeing that. And fuck you, Jalen Rose. Fuck you, Jalen Rose. I just want to take a moment just to say this. Jalen Rose is the most disgraced, worst Raptor that we've ever had in our entire history. I want to say this right now. Jalen Rose was the one who was guarding Kobe Bryant when Kobe got 81 points on us and got that fucking black eye on the Raptors history. And ever since, Jalen Rose has not done any favors for our team. He's put us down in the media. He has disassociated himself from our team. And then he even still wants to come back during our championship run and stand with our other treasured, valued former Raptors on a court and get an ovation from our people. Fuck you, Jalen Rose, you piece of shit. You fucking voting for Evan Mobley. You're a piece of shit. You're the most disgraced Raptor of all time. And I hate you. In my greatest Raptors of all time rankings, he's at the very bottom of the list. In fact, I give him negative points for taking prestige away from our franchise, for being such a shitty defender against Kobe Bryant, and then being such a Raptor hater in the media since. Fuck you, Jalen Rose. I'll say it over and over again. And you look like you have hair plugs in your fucking hair right now. We all know you were fucking bald, almost bald as a player. And now all of a sudden you got this fucking chia pet on the top of your head. That ain't your fucking hair. We know you have fucking fake hair on top of your head, Jalen Rose. You go look at Jalen Rose today and you look at him from a couple years ago and you know this man's wearing plugs. This motherfucker is wearing plugs like Burt Reynolds did. Oh, yeah. There's my little Jalen Rose moment right there. Oh, yeah. Fuck you, Jalen Rose, the most disgraced, worst Raptor of all time. G's saying, I love Fred, but I feel that after a while, his knee is giving him problems and it becomes a liability. Yeah, Fred's trying really hard. Like, he really showed that gumption and that determination to make this game different at the beginning of the game. And he was a badass. He single-handedly won us the first quarter in a lot of ways, but he couldn't sustain it and different things like that. I don't know what the scope or how bad it is for him. You know, he just went cold. These weren't bad shots. He was open, wide open, but he wasn't hitting them. And this is what it is with Fred. It's feast or famine sometimes. Sometimes he has just not got it. And in the same game, it'll happen from quarter to quarter. He'll be really good, feast, and then he'll go famine at some point. And I hate it, but it is just a part of his game. And it's part of the reason why we need different guys to step up in different quarters. And then he was the guy in the first quarter who won us the first quarter. And at the end of the game, it was OG and Chris that won us the fourth quarter with the collective great defensive effort on Philadelphia. But yeah, there we go. Click to I'm saying there's a Philly fan by the name of Run It Back Philly who said the Raptors franchise should be sold. So idiotic. If ever anything, Canada will get a second team. Yeah, you know, there's that, like I said, having grown up in Tallahassee, Florida as a Canadian kid, having a green card, never actually being American until I actually moved back here. You know, I heard a lot of stupid shit. And there's a lot of anti-Canadian Americans that just are like, America's the best, this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of people that are involved in the NBA, that are involved in the head office, they're involved in teams that would like to see the Toronto Raptors go away. This is something I will talk about in one of my Sunday reports this summer about the possibility of the Raptors losing their franchise because of bullshit like this, like talk like this. This has been something that's not new. We've had to deal with this from the very beginning. There were people that never wanted the NBA to come north of the border, and that they were successful in getting the Vancouver Grizzlies to go away. And they tried to do the same thing to us. And there's reasons why they can't, and they won't ever get us to go away. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's the spoiler for my report. But one Sunday this summer, we're going to talk about this in depth. And I'm going to go over all the reasons why this will never happen and also the reasons why they want this to happen. So, but yeah, it's very interesting. And, you know, a lot of this is just anti-Canadian sentiment, and it is what it is. And, you know, I don't think our chances of getting a second team are high, though, in Canada after us. Like, if we do, it will be Montreal. But I don't think the NBA is going to expand here next. They're going to expand in Las Vegas, and they're going to put a team back in Seattle. And then the other place that they really want to put a team is Mexico City. And then you see how a fan like you just described, click to him, see how their head explodes when all of a sudden there's a team in Mexico in the NBA. Because that is on the right, the writing's on the wall. They put a G League team in Mexico City already, and they're testing it out to have the NBA play in Mexico City. And some people would say, well, they can't play in Mexico. They're going to get kidnapped and held for ransoms and shit. See, that's just the fucking bullshit racist mindset of Americans thinking that they know what Mexico is. And Mexico isn't exactly what they think it is as far as drug cartels is running all over the place, kidnapping people and holding them up for money. You have a very modernized city of the world with Mexico City, and there's pockets and parts of it that are very insulated and classist against the majority, where the NBA can function and be a part of their city very safely. And you don't get it twisted. If the NBA went to Mexico City, they'd have a good security detail and they would make sure none of this kind of bullshit would happen. But this kind of shit could happen in any NBA city with what they're talking about. And that's why it's not going to happen there either. And this is a very likely thing that the NBA will expand into Mexico and make a Mexican team at some point. And then there may be a little bit more of a counterbalance, having one Canadian team and one Mexican team that's kind of in the same boat as us. So think about that. That's some really interesting thought exercise to think about with that. CC's playing. This is my take on people saying Sixers playing well. How can we play at our potential if refs have our players on edge, or referencing fouls, affects their confidence, morale, etc.? Cannot judge our raps now. Yeah, to an extent, you're right. Like this defense is like how much of it is that they're not putting in the right effort and the right intensity, and how much is that they're being handcuffed by the referees and that it is just that unfair. Well, the unfairness is something that doesn't stop our guys. They're going to play through it and they're going to try and overcome it no matter what. And they know it's bullshit deep down inside, and it's just part of something that they have to deal with. So I agree with what CC's saying, that this isn't the best time to gauge the Raptors on how good they are, with so many guys actually hurt right now, and also the way that the refereeing's being. So yeah, I agree with CC. You get a better idea of who we truly are from things that happened in the regular season, like the wins against Phoenix and Denver, the triple overtime game against Miami, a lot of the really bright spots in different places. We see the full potential and the actual possibilities of how powerful the Raptors truly could be. And it's just that the timing and the way things are for us all of a sudden right now is really bad and not showing our best. So Jimmy Pope's here. Good to see Jimmy Pope. Just funny when you hear Philly fans say, stop fouling then. Makes me laugh every time. They say, stop fouling then. What are you talking about? Like, everybody fouls in this league. You guys are fouling. Jack pointed it out a couple times. Like, Maxey and Harden were actually reaching in and fouling, and they weren't getting any of these calls for different things that they were doing as far as trying to guard Fred and Gary and different people and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's silly. Like, honestly, they should just shut up and accept, like, getting the favoritism and just be happy they're winning and smiling and talking about how they're winning. And the less they talk about the foul stuff or us complaining about the fouls, the better off they will be. Because it's like, honestly, don't shine a light on it from Sixers Nation. If I was the Sixer freak and this was the Sixers channel, that's what I would be saying right now. If Sixers fans, stop talking about the foul issues. We're getting good calls and it's going great and gravy. So let's be quiet. Let's hope it keeps happening. That's how I would be on their channel as a Sixer fan right now. That's what I would be doing if I was the equivalent of me for their nation right now. That's what I would say. Shut up. Let's stop talking about the fouls. And Joel, don't talk to Nick Nurse. You don't want to give him motivation because you got him in his face. Don't poke the bear is what I'm saying. Take the win gracefully and walk off the court and smile and say all the right things in the press conference and just win. That's the best way to do it. Don't rub things in. Don't be a fucking person like that. Like, I would tell my own players, the Raptors, if any of the Raptors were acting like this in that kind of way, I probably would be saying the same thing. Like, if Pascal had gone to Doc and did that at the end of the game and we had won, it was all flipped in reverse, I'd be like, Pascal, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to piss Doc Rivers off, and he might actually get a good game plan going, and they might turn the series around, is what I would be saying to Joel Embiid if I was Sixers freak right now. Oh yeah, I'd be like, don't do that. That's immature, and it's not necessary, and it's not going to help the Sixers. It's more likely to hurt them. It's really more likely to hurt them. Click saying, who is he to say that when Philly hasn't made the Eastern Conference Finals in over a decade, they purposely became the worst team in the league to get to this point? If they don't win this year or next year, they will blow up. Yeah, I don't know. I already canceled out that fan that was there. As soon as I saw the brooms, I was like, all right, I'm not dealing with this guy because like honestly, I don't want him to have a voice. There's some people who have a good voice in here, Blue City, Random Gamer, Jo, other fans of other teams. But once I see certain stuff, I was like, I don't even want to give a voice to them. So I don't know what they said exactly because I already erased all their messages, by the way. Let's see. Yeah, the Sixers nation, like I said earlier, have not had a whole lot to cheer about. So they should be feeling real good about different things. And that it is looking real sunny and bright for them right now. And I can't go against that for them. But on the flip side of what Click's saying is, what have you guys done to prove anything? Come on. You beat us in this first round. That's great. That's a starting point. But you still have a lot more work to do before you should be trying to throw around the respect and the weight that you think you truly deserve right now. You don't deserve it yet. You don't. Because we beat you in the last series against y'all still. Maybe that you guys get this one, and now you'll be 2 series up on us from the 2001 and this series, and then we'll have lost to you. We have won against you guys in 2019. So it's that way, that kind of thing. G saying Canadian ratings do not count towards the US, and it's a huge money loss for them. Maybe they need to figure out a way to have the money flow. Hate that I just said that, but it crossed my mind. Yeah, there is some issues with that, and there is some kind of weird collusion or weird kind of things about that. Like the world today has become such an information war. This war in Ukraine is a information war. The right and left politics of things these days is an information war, and in some ways, it is in sports also. We talked about this a lot this year. That ESPN, in some ways, is a propaganda machine that is put out there to shape people's minds about how they think about sports, who they root for, who they respect, and all this kind of stuff. And if they shape things a certain way with how they treat the Raptors constantly, then it's going to cause people's minds in certain ways to look down on us, or even with our own fan nation, gaslight us and make our own fans like believe their narrative in different ways and stuff like that. It's not fair because out of all the NBA teams, we are the only one that gets treated this way because we are originating from outside of the United States. And I think you're right, G. If the NBA and Adam Silver and Masai Ujiri and them can all figure out some ways to make things better for the Raptors, that would be good. But Masai's talked about this. Like he said, he's constantly talking to the NBA front office about ways that he can help the Raptors be more competitive and have more help with these kind of things. But he's also said on the flip side, there may be some real disadvantages for the Toronto Raptors franchise. But on the flip side, there's also some huge advantages for us also. And then if we pour water and think about those things and really use those strengths, that could really help us. And that's part of the reason why we're doing so well in certain ways is that Masai's maximizing some of the huge advantages that Toronto has as the only team in a whole country, in a whole market like that. So there's some sort of balance, but I agree with this. Like, and there's some ways that maybe like these U.S. markets, like these media outlets, need to be treating the Raptors in a different way, and maybe they need to change the narrative of being like, let's treat them like the Canadian team. Let's always slight them. Let's always talk about them negatively, and maybe they start giving us more of a fair shake and being more respectful. This could evolve as our franchise matures and more. Like what happens when we get to the 40-year mark as a franchise? Will we start getting more respect if we are a playoff team like the Spurs were for like 20 years in a row? That will they finally say, well, we have to, you know what, we're sick of discounting the Raptors and thinking that they're going to be so bad when they've proven us wrong over and over again. We're going to have to start saying that they are for real and they're a good team and stuff like that. So it's such a weird monster. It's such a weird kind of thing to kind of sort out and figure out. And like I said, money's the bottom line. And there's a lot of what driving the issues with what we're talking about right here. K Brown saying, if you watch or check the stats for the Dallas and Utah game 2 versus our game 2 stats, you will clearly see why Raptors fans are upset. The game was physical, and yet that game was way less calls, free throw calls. Yeah, they maybe were swallowing the whistle there. There's a weird thing going on with Luka being out, and there's no real clear favoritism. I don't know. With Luka out, they can't golden boy They're not going to golden boy one of the secondary Mavs. So in some ways, that's hurt the Mavs a lot. And them having the home court advantage, and that also being a 4-5 matchup, it's very equal. So maybe the refs are really treating it like, let's call it right down the line because it's Utah and it's Dallas. And Dallas doesn't have their player, so we can't really give a whole lot of favoritism to Dallas like we would if Doncic was playing, because that's really how I look at it now. It's like Golden Boy superstar players get these calls. LeBron, Luka Doncic, Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, these guys, Jason Tatum, these motherfuckers that are the face of the NBA that they push on all the advertisements are the ones that you will see get these Golden Boy calls in all kinds of different ways and stuff like that. And one of the things I want to talk about with the refereeing and how they do it in a manipulative way on the down low, and I've talked about this really earlier in the season, I haven't brought it up recently, is how when they call the fouls, it's like they can make the foul totals look very even or close to even at the end of the game. But sometimes the fouls for one side will come late in the game, and they're just makeup calls when the game's already finished, it's garbage time, and they're just calling a lot of fouls on the Philadelphia 76ers at the end of the game just to get the totals a little more even. And then the other way that's really nefarious is whether it's side out or free throws. Like when you get fouled before the bonus, if they're giving them free throws right away, like they were Joel Embiid, that's a huge advantage. Meanwhile, every time we get fouled, even like the less times that we get fouled, they're always saying that's side out. That is a real quick way that the NBA refs manipulate and figure out things. Because if you get those early fouls before the bonus, and a lot of them are free throws because they're determined to be shooting fouls, that is a fucked up way that they can help them. Because some of the fouls that we get on our foul count don't count for free throws because they go side out. And that's something you really got to look at. And that's why these players argue so much when the foul happens, that they say, yeah, we were shooting. And they're like, the ref's like, no, you're side out. You're side out. And they argue about whether it should be side out or they're getting free throws. And that's a really fucked up way that the refs can show favoritism for one team, is if the fouls before the bonus is enacted are going to the line already. That those are, they're putting them on the line and they're not even the bonus yet. But meanwhile, the other team is getting fouls before the bonus and none of them are leading to free throws. That is something to watch out for. And they did that last night. They did that last night right away in the first quarter with Joel Embiid. They fed him free throws to the line right away. And, half of those, maybe if they were the Raptors, they may have said, oh, no, that's side out. That's side out, instead of just instantly putting him on the line, is what I'm saying. With that, let's see. Jimmy Pope is saying, yeah, even Phil Handy, former assistant coach for the Raptors in 2019, admitted we don't get any calls on Danny's podcast a couple years ago. It's known fact around the league. Yeah, it is that way. It's just how it is. Like in some ways, like it's fucked up and I hate it. And this is why I'm going to do a deep dive research report on the refs and really get to the bottom of, is it particular refs that just have problems? Like Scott Foster has a problem with Chris Paul, or is it like a league wide, like general, like trend that I'm seeing that it's just in general that all the 20 plus year refs are treating it the same way and the same kind of thing and stuff like that. This will be a very interesting Sunday report when I have it finished and I'll bring it out and we talk about it. G saying, yeah, Phil, Kawhi, and a few others admit it. They know it. And that it factors into players' decisions about whether they want to stay here. That's part of the fucked upness too. Like, and I hate to think that Scotty Barnes is thinking that, if I left Toronto, this may be easier for me. And because like that's probably part of what Kawhi was thinking when he was trying to make a decision the summer of 2019. It's like, well, if I go to the Clippers, things will be easier for me. Well, they weren't easier for you with the franchise, but maybe they are easier for you with the calls. And that's a really insidious, fucked up way that they're trying to make it hard for the Raptors to be a good team year in, year out, because it kind of snowballs out of things. Like Scotty's seeing this, and he's like, well, it could be so much easier. That's why I want Scotty to be one of these guys that's like, yeah, you know what? This may be the hard way to go, but this will be the more rewarding, best way to go instead of the easy way. And, think about that, Scotty. You're going to get a lot of benefits from playing for Toronto. There's a lot of different benefits, like your development. You may become a better player overall, but you could put up with a couple of disadvantages of being a Toronto Raptor also. But that does dissuade young players from being like, well, fuck this shit. I want to leave. Chris Bosh. Boom. That kind of shit. Yeah. All right. Let's see. G saying, We have been here before against the Bucks. We can take 2 games at home. Yeah, we've been in this exact situation before in a lot of different situations in different playoff series and stuff. And we've got that kind of characteristic about our franchise is don't count us out. Don't count us out too early and stuff like that. Family saying, do you have to lose to win in the NBA? Philadelphia has taken 10 years to rebuild this team and they're still not winning. I think we have taken one. Listen, their whole philosophy of tanking to get draft picks in the process, that was so fucking stupid. And part of the problem for them has been that they designed a culture of losing because of the fucking tanking. And that they've had a hard time pulling their plane out of that mire of losing mentality and being the loser franchise and just being fucking losers, Sixers. That's what you guys were when you did that kind of stuff. And yeah, maybe you're getting the fruits of Joel Embiid now. And maybe you struck gold when you got Tyrese Maxey. Like that was a huge boon to y'all. And you're having some good things happen to you. But honestly, the way you went about trying to build your team is a loser culture. And that's part of the reason why you've had such a hard time shaking it in the years since you've done it. And like maybe you're starting to see some results now. And kudos to you for playing well and finally having that. But this is like, honestly, y'all are a loser culture because you guys purposely lost on purpose to try and build your team better. And you've proven actually in a lot of ways that it doesn't work. Like, I don't think you guys are going to win a championship with Embiid. Seriously, a big man is a hindrance. I don't think the Nuggets will win a championship with Jokic either. It's the same fucking kind of thing. That as much as a big man is a good plus and an advantage, he's also a huge disadvantage in today's NBA. And that the writing's on the wall in some ways. I don't think a big man will win championships in this league ever again. That this is a totally different kind of league now, and that you will get there's weaknesses to having a big man out there that Precious Achua shows off, and that kind of stuff is what's going to happen. So don't get it twisted, Sixers fan. You may win this round, but you're not going to win the championship this year, and you're not going to probably win a championship at any point because Joel Embiid is not the kind of player that will win championships. I'm going to tell you that right now, and you'll find out why the deeper you get in the playoffs. You know, if you beat us. You will find that out. You'll find out the harsh reality. K Brown is saying, all right, sorry, I jumped way ahead. I know there's a lot here. I got to make sure that I get to every single comment. Yeah, I already blocked out that person. I'm not even going to say their name. It looks like they were really going at it with you guys. Gee, seriously, use your wrench, man. Use your wrench. You're totally allowed to, especially if this is getting uglier and uglier and this is hard for us. You know, we don't need to hear this bullshit and their stuff. All right, where's K? Where was I with this? K, where's K going? Man, I can't believe how much is here. I will make sure I read most of this. Wow, this guy really went off, and you guys really got into him while I wasn't looking. So, all right, well, this is a lot further than I thought. You guys, all right, here we're right here. Okay. Yeah, the refs will let you play like a different team. Wow, 5 years good for you. How's the third round? Yeah, kill him. Just scorch this guy. Like honestly, they don't have a whole much of legs to stand. You have 2 good games in the first round. That's not enough for you guys to be talking this much shit. And you know, Miami and Lowry, if you guys beat us, they're gonna fucking put y'all out. That's probably what's gonna happen. Family saying, do you guys tank for 10 and you've only been in for 5? Yeah, I'm loving all this stuff that you guys are getting on him for it. Jimmy Pope saying, you see that foul on Precious when Embiid pushed him into Harden? Ridiculous. Both end up on the ground. Got to be careful flopping. Yeah, those guys were flopping a lot last night. Like I said, Joel Embiid is like a soccer player. He does a lot of that overacting. And man, our guys must be so strong, be able to do that to somebody so large. Oh my gosh. Family say, no, we won because we spanked your ass. We did win and we did beat you. You know, the shot is a shot and, you know, you can't change anything. We got a championship and the shot was part of it. And that's just how it went. K Brown saying if the Raptors are not allowed to defend, then how can a team win when everyone can confess that defense wins games. Yeah, it really does handcuff us. It's tough. Family say, don't forget that we put a beating on your team. We have put a beating on the team. Listen, we have had this long ass streak against Philadelphia. When Kyle Lowry was on our team, they did not win against us. Like, we had this crazy long win streak against y'all for like the last 10 years. Come on, man. You guys have won 2 playoff games in this round. This is not enough for y'all to come like this. I know y'all feel real good right now. Real good. But seriously, you have not accrued enough respect yet to go this far in. Seriously. I mean, because like, we owned y'all. We had a win streak before the COVID year that we had beaten y'all like 16 in a row or something like that. It's fucking crazy. You guys had not won in Toronto for like so many years, and we had actually beaten y'all in your own building pretty consistently for a long time also. So don't you have a short memory for some of the shit that y'all been through from the Raptors in the last few years. Come on now. The family saying, and I'm Jimmy's talking about somebody rolled their own ankle. I'm not sure who. Family saying, when was the last time you were in the 3rd round? That was probably 2001. That's when the last time when Allen Iverson was playing for them. That's when it was, family. It was 20 years ago. You're not respectful. We only won one. But I'm not sure. Blah blah blah. What that's saying. Blue City saying, I do troll sometimes, but I do not take it to the extreme. Yeah, listen, Blue City, you have some faith ingratiated with us here. And even if you said something that was a slightly kind of like offensive to us, I might give you 1, just because overall you've been very respectful, and you did subscribe. Thank you. The family, nobody else played in that series. We didn't have the best defense in the last 20 years. I'm not sure who family's talking to. K Brown said, I thought that they changed all these bullshit calls in the NBA. What's happening now? No, it's always been this way. And it's going to be this way. It's just a part of it. Embiid has no respect. Laughed my ass off like we made you cry, bro. I might just skip this whole like back and forth with you guys with this dude. Marlon Toby saying, I'm laughing now. If they go through us, Jimmy Butler and all the weapons pointing straight at Embiid and Sixers heads. Yeah, listen, I mean, Bam Adebayo did not get a Defensive Player of the Year consideration. He's pissed the fuck off right now. Like, honestly, I don't like how the NBA announced that Marcus Smart is a defensive player all of a sudden in the last couple of days. In some ways, I agree that he kind of should be considered, but I don't know if he should have won it. Like, there's other guys in this league that are much more important. And this is kind of a Celtics kind of like kudos, kind of like pat on the back kind of bullshit. That Bam Adebayo may be very angry about being snubbed, and that teams need to look out for him coming up, like with different ways. The family said, you haven't won a thing, and Tanks for 10 years gave up. Jason Tatum for Markel Fultz. Yeah, okay. Family's getting the burns in on a Sixer fan here. That's good. Kay saying, I'm not a Dallas or Utah fan, but I truly was happy that I got to catch the last part of their game too. It was good feeling after watching Raptors lost. Yeah, I didn't see that game or anything. Did they even it up? Dallas even it up with Utah? I'm not sure. The family's asking, when did you get to the finals? They actually got in the finals in 2001, a family, and they lost the Lakers. So they got all the way to the finals with Allen Iverson and Dikembe Mutombo, but Kobe and Shaq beat them that year for the ring. G saying Kem does need to shoot more. Yeah, you agree with me? Okay, this is kind of gauging where I'm at. Blue City saying, not being rude, but I do have a question. When LeBron James dirty to the Raptors when he was with the Cavaliers during the playoffs, yeah, we say this is the same kind of thing, Blue City. The things that happened with LeBron being in Cleveland and Miami over the 2010s with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan and our inability to get past them was really frustrating and tough for Raptor Nation, obviously. And it was really nice when he did go out west. I don't discount that that's a big factor in opening up things for the whole East, like for the Sixers Nation too, like LeBron not being in the East. But yeah, there was a lot of this same kind of stuff. We called him LeBaby. And like he did a lot of the whining and crying that we're seeing with Joel Embiid at that time also. And he did it this year also when we played him. So it's a similar kind of thing. We hate LeBron. We really hate LeBron here. In fact, I have problems with Toronto fans that love LeBron as a player because I just don't understand how you can do that with all the pain and misery he's caused our franchise in its history and stuff like that. But yeah, I think LeBron's very dirty. Like that game in LA with the Lakers where he threw the ball at Scotty Barnes was completely dirty. And he was doing dirty shit in that game also with his elbows and different things like that and stuff like that. That's very comparable comparable to what Joel's doing right now. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think Joel Embiid should want to be like LeBron James. He's not a good role model for him. Like if he could, seriously, he's still young. Like what is he? He's like 27, 28, something like that. If he could just kind of rein it in and get a little more wisdom and maturity, somebody in his circle could tell him, you don't need to do this. You could be a real badass. And the thing is, you want to be so good in this league, like Tyrese Maxey, that people respect you and still kind of like, wow, that guy's really good. I want him on my team. Instead of having this kind of thing where it's like, you know what, you can't respect the way you're winning and the way you're going about it. You want to do that. You want to be like Kobe. You want to be like, I respect that dude because he's just that badass, like Tyrese Maxey. And Joel's doing it like LeBron, and that's a big problem for me. And that's really disappointing to me as far as like the good faith I had in him as like thinking that he was a decent guy and stuff like that. LeBron's the worst role model for NBA players in so many different ways for his behavior on the court. And that's what I'm saying. Family saying, oh, when you have one lucky run with AI. Yeah, they did. Like, honestly, that was lucky in some ways. Like, Vince Carter hits that shot. That game's totally different. And maybe the Raptors were the team that were going further in the playoffs in that series. That like Vince didn't go to his graduation. He didn't fucking miss that last minute shot. We would have won that game. And, things would have been a lot different in 2001. And that is really the best year the Sixers have had since they won a championship in 1983, was getting that far with AI to the finals and stuff like that. So family saying, what have you ever done one good when you're being a team that's rebuilding good for you? Yeah, we'll have to see. And family saying, do you feel good you're being a team that's rebuilding? Yeah, I you know what, the stuff with this guy, we're not even going to read it or any of it. Kay saying, I can't stop saying I love how that game was physical and intense and tight and just great. One of the best games in the playoffs. She's still talking about that Utah-Dallas game. She's not talking about the game with us. Jimmy Pope saying the film is evidence, laughing my ass off. Yep. This year's a rebuilding year. You're a moron. Yeah, we were supposed to be a development. We're not even supposed to be in the playoffs. We're supposed to be a young team developing and learning themselves. And you know what? We're so good. We got a full playoff spot. And we're better than teams like Cleveland. We're better than Atlanta. We're better than New York. We're better than Washington. We're better than all these fucking teams that at the beginning of the year, the NBA said we're better than us. And we're still developing. That's why we're dangerous. And that's why, Philly fan, be careful. Because we may make a big leap and a jump. And the way we feel about Tyrese Maxey right now in this series may be some way you be feeling about some of our players in the coming years and how they're going to burn y'all and mess you up. Guys like Precious Achiuwa and Scotty Barnes, that they're going to be something. We know this. They're second year and first year player. Give them a couple years and let's see where we are then. And look out. Oh, yeah. Case saying, praying we can get games like this going forward. Family saying, do you have 120 million more on your payroll? I don't know the context to a lot of this because I already blocked this guy. Peter saying, if Embiid was 6'5", he'd be working at Walmart stocking shelves. Oh, Peter, man, you're the star today, man. Honestly, you're hitting all the right buttons with the right things to say as a Raptor freak here, and I love it. That's hilarious. Yeah, Frankenstein, Will Smith, go stock shelves at Walmart. Oh man, the family, the big crybaby karma is coming back to him. I think so too. I hope so, family. I really do hope so in some ways. Family saying, after one of your players has been injured, multiple players, he's doing nothing in the sand mines. He's too soft to play sports. He's a one-way tough guy. Yeah, I mean, you guys are getting bogged down with this guy a little too much. I wish we caught him a little earlier. Family saying the elbows and slapping to the face in both games multiple times on purpose. Nick Nurse did say last night, thank goodness there weren't so many elbows, but there was still a slap to the face last night that was not called, like directly to face by Joel Embiid and stuff like that. Family saying he's slapping his elbow and people flailing is their arms like they got shot every time somebody goes near him. That's intent to injure. K. Brow saying, agree with family, slapping the face, the elbow, what work he's in, blah, blah, blah. And he's, yeah, I'm going to skip everything with this guy in particular because honestly, without me talking to him and all this kind of stuff, G saying Harden isn't doing anything special, in my opinion. His playmaking is better, though. Yeah, in the first game, he hit threes, which was really bad for us. And his playmaking has been better. But although we did way better against him last night than in the first game, he only got 6 assists. He was 3 of 9 from the field, 14 points. That's great. That's a great stat line for James Harden. We played him really well last night, actually. Click to him saying, lose or win, I'm still a fan of this team next season. All these fake fans can get the fuck out. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, and we're real ones are going to be here. We're going to stay here. We found a home here. Keep coming every morning, click here, and we will continue to talk positive about our team and dreaming and thinking big about what we can possibly achieve in the future. Future's so bright. It's like 10 buck 3. We got to wear shades, baby. We got to wear shades because the future is real bright for the Raptors, no matter what happens with this series. Family saying it's almost like they don't watch these games. Yeah, well, they're biased. They're going to see it in the way that they want to see it. Peter's saying, Alexa, you make me want to be a better Raptors fan. Awesome, Peter. I like that. That is part of the effect that I want to do. And part of the effect that I want to encourage fans to not be so flaky. Like, don't turn your back on the Raptors in their hardest time. Go ahead and continue to love them and support them no matter what. Because too many Raptor fans are like Leaf fans, and they get really sad when we lose, and they don't like feeling that and sitting there with it. They're like, no, not my problem, not my dumpster fire. I'm going to run off and live my life and forget that the Raptors ever existed for at least 4 months until they start playing again, and then maybe they go on a win streak, and then I'm like, oh, I'm a Raptors fan, I'm back, and everything like that. No, I mean, some people can't handle that kind of trauma and pain and stuff, and they have to do that, and I understand that. But, you can also be a true blue fan and not totally shit on your team when they're struggling. And that's part of the problem with Raptors Nation is we have a certain segment that just love the really critical of them and shit all over them when they're not doing absolutely perfect or successful and stuff like that. So, and that's part of what I'm trying to change also with the culture of our fan base is that not turn on the team so quickly. Like, I don't want to hear any bullshit about Fred and Pascal today and how they didn't do enough and stuff like, let them say it. But the fans shouldn't be saying that because they're trying and they're doing their best and they're going to continue to try and adjust and do better as we, tomorrow. So, yeah, we're not losing it at home. It'll be a new series. I hope you're right, the family. I really do. That's why this team, Philly, will never win a championship. They aren't going to win a championship. I'm going to tell you right now. You guys think you're going to win a championship, but you're not. You're missing certain important things. There are huge flaws with your team. You're playing perfect against us right now, but there's certain things that are going to mess you up before the end of it's so hard to win a championship, honestly. Like, first of all, if you get past us, you're playing Miami. Miami is the best team in the East, honestly. We saw them the last time we played them, and they're nobody to fuck around with. And the one thing that we lack, which is veteran experience, they have in spades. And there's one particular man on their team that is going to be fucking orchestrating shit and making sure he does everything to make sure they win. It's Kyle Lowry. And then you add into it your old friend, Jimmy Butler, the guy you should have never let leave the Sixers. That was your biggest fuck up probably in the last 4 years, is letting Jimmy Butler leave. Because that man's a winner. And that guy was your best player in a lot of ways in that series against us. And him gone was your heart and soul. And now that heart and soul is in a Miami Heat jersey. And he is going to hurt y'all really bad if you guys play him in the second round. Bam Adebayo had chip on his shoulder. And then let's not even get started about people like Victor Oladipo all of a sudden come around and showing up on the scene and what he's capable of as his former past and the player he is. This team is stacked. And unlike us, they have a bench and they have a bunch of capable three-point shooters. Like you got Niang. Well, look at, Niang that's actually good and a good player. Max Strus is the same fucking player, but he's actually better than Niang. He's like Niang times 10 in some ways. So, yeah, just wait until you have to play a team that can afford to have a guy like Tyler Hero come off the bench as their sixth man. Yeah, you're not going to be talking any trash, and your route will be ending by then if it's going to be against Miami Heat. I'm going to tell you right now. And if you do somehow get past the Miami Heat, you will not get past the team that's coming from the other side. If it's the Brooklyn Nets, the Boston Celtics, or the Milwaukee Bucks, one of those three teams will put you out then. Because the one thing I said this year is there's certain teams that are pretenders and certain teams that are contenders. And this whole season, I never thought that Philly was actually a true contender. I've put them in the same category as New York, Washington, and Cleveland. That these teams have problems, and when shit hits the fan, they're going to lose in the end. And there's other Eastern teams that are definitely contenders. And two of them in particular are Miami, Boston, and I'll say Milwaukee. If Brooklyn, I'm not totally sold on yet because they're so top heavy with just Durant and Irving and how much they have to do for them. But those other three teams are real contenders to win a championship. And I don't know if Philly is actually a real contender. Family saying you guys will never win a championship because your team's attitude.
Yeah, I don't know. Raymond Jacobs saying, why are Sixers fans going banana nuts crazy already thinking they won the whole thing? Celebrating as if the playoffs are already over. Holy crap, so many douchey gloaters. I know, it smacks of like Minnesota celebrating the play-in victory. Honestly, I had no problem with Minnesota celebrating so much about winning that because that franchise has not had a whole lot to cheer about, and that was such a huge thing and stuff like that. Kudos to them, and I'm glad the Timberwolves Nation got to celebrate that. And I won't poo-poo it or make fun of them or any of that kind of stuff. I'm like JJ Redick. I think that you should let them get their flowers and feel good as a franchise because there hasn't had a lot happening. And that may be part of what's happening here with Sixers fan is that they're little feeling good because they've had some good things happening, but then maybe they're celebrating a little too early and maybe they're a little too cocky and a little too arrogant for how much they've accomplished already. Like, we come out there and we kick y'all's ass tomorrow and we win on home court. That's going to feel real good for us. But we're not going to overreact and start coming to y'all and start talking on the shit like you're doing to me. We're not going to do that. We're going to be like, this is good, but we have so much work to take care of because we respect that in that kind of way. And in some ways, you guys aren't respecting that whole process of it. Some of y'all, I won't say all of y'all, there's good Sixers fans and you're fine. But some of you like, seriously, you got to get more clout before you start throwing around this weight that y'all are throwing around right now. Seriously. All right, let's see. Family saying you can beat up on a young Raptor team. Good for you. Wait till you play a team that the refs have respect for. Yeah, if it's a little more even, you may not get as many calls playing against Miami, playing against Boston in particular, those kind of teams. Family saying, yeah, we won a championship a few years ago. When was yours? We're still waiting after 15 years of tanking. Yeah, I don't want to get too personal and stuff like that. Like I said, we have a fairly good relationship with some Sixers fans here, and I don't want to go totally ugly. And so I know I've said some pretty ugly things about them, like saying that they're not going to win a championship and calling them Will Smith Frankenstein and shit like that. That's kind of ugly, but it's getting that way. There's a little bit of no pulling punches at this point with the two fan bases. And this guy who's here, I don't even say his name. I like that. Family said, does your mom know you have her phone? That might be the whole line out of this whole thing. That's awesome. And family, thanks for fighting the fight here. You're really going in strong against them back. I love it. Good appreciation for this. Family saying, maybe you should stop watching basketball. I should have went to school. All right. Yeah, we're going to hopefully get past all this stuff and we can just get back on track here. This douchey gloater Mark is just being a douche. Wrench him. That's what I'm saying. You got the trigger. You go ahead. If you see ahead of time that you see this kind of thing is devolving and happening, do it earlier. Actually, this is what I'm saying. Because like as much as Raymond and you love seeing me go off on people and stuff like that, it really does distract from the time and what we're trying to do here. We're at almost 2.5 hours, and I don't want to get bogged down with a lot of this bullshit. Like if somebody's spamming, definitely wrench them right away. Like if you see one of these guys come in here and as soon as you see 3 or 4 or 5 of his messages, wrench them right then. Because basically what's happening now is we're mired in his bullshit in the back and forth and stuff like that. And I don't even want to do this right now. But yeah, okay. G saying Mark, cool enough, but we got to get through these comments. That's what I'm saying. G, wrench them. You got that power. I'm not reading the comments as they're coming in current, and you guys, I know you kind of when you type them in and stuff like that, you're seeing what's happening in the real time. And I may not get to them for like an hour because there's so many comments, and then we see what's happened. He's kind of gone off, and he's got like fucking 30, 40 comments battling back and forth with you guys. And it's just not productive for this stream. So if you see somebody like him start up, just go ahead and knock the head off the snake. Don't worry about me getting to him first. I'd rather you go ahead and get him after 3 or 4 and limit this because this has gone on now for like a good chunk of the chat today, and it's no good. We don't like that. And if I have to, I'll give the wrench to Raymond also. Raymond, you might be a mod after the end of the day because I might need both of y'all to do this. And you know that within your reason, you guys want to have a little entertainment and give a little bit to me. Well, maybe just leave the first couple comments and then boom, out the door. Because I really don't want this to be what this becomes, at least for the next couple of days while this series is still getting figured out. Because I don't want this to be the stream every day. Where we basically have one person coming in and spamming like crazy. I will give the wrench. Actually, I'll give a wrench to Raymond and Tom Duke also. You guys are both going to get wrenches today. All right, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, because this is just it's kind of devolved the whole stream at this point because I have anything to do here at this point. All right, let's see. The family saying you're not going to get the same whistle when it's another American team. I think that might be true. We'll see. Although Embiid is a designated golden boy for sure. Kate Brown saying Raps are champs forever and fighters. That's true. G saying for sure, but he has to get through the comments. Yeah, we learned something today, G. Like if you see it just go way, too much, like I said, hit that wrench. Kay saying, honestly believe they can bounce back. I do too. I mean, that's what I have to do. I'm a positive Raptor fans. I shine a light. We talk about tomorrow when we do the preview tomorrow morning. I'm going to be talking about all the ways we can figure this out and get the win tomorrow night. We're going to be scheming and talking about all the best plans of action for the Raptors to have the right outcome tomorrow night. Race Mode Daily saying the great thing about the Raptors is that we win when the analysts have counted us out. The season continues to be a success. Raptors in 7. Race Mode Daily, once again, respect. Love that. Kay saying, I remember the Bucks versus Suns finally. Bucks were down 2-0. Yeah, there's a lot of ways teams can come back in different ways. Like, listen, I don't think realistically we're going to win this series, but I think once again, we should have short-term goals in different ways that at least we need to stop the sweep. And if we can protect our home court and extend the series as far as possible, that's awesome. Like we win game 3 and 4 and make this an even series for game 5. That's badass because that game in Philadelphia for game 5 will be the fulcrum, the turning point of the whole series and will be a very important game. Yeah. So we just got to focus on possibly winning tomorrow night and doing our best to make sure that happens because it is a must win for us. And if we don't win tomorrow night, it's going to be really tough. But I will still say for game 4, if we lose tomorrow night, we need to stop the sweep. That at least that for respect purposes and different things like that, we do not need to get swept. That's very important. We need to win at least one. Like our young guys need to learn and field at least one playoff win in this series. If this is how it's going to go, is what I'm saying. G saying Scotty was still clapping on the bench even near the end of the game. Yeah, it's good respect and stuff. But this is actually something. This is good that you brought this up. I like that Scotty in some ways is sitting out and getting that I can't be out there to help my team feeling. That like I wish I was out there. That's a hunger, that's a desire that can happen for guys that get hurt and can't be out there for their team. They get an extra special gumption or motivation for when they get back out there. And like I said, I have a weird feeling that Scotty's going to be back tomorrow night. That he is only going to miss one game with this ankle thing, and then he's going to be right back out there in our lineup tomorrow night. I have some weird, suspicious feeling that the way that he asked him that question in the practice yesterday, he had a gleam in his eye. He said, I think I might be back sooner than you think. And it wasn't going to be last night because it was already ruled out for sure last night. But it could be game 3 here in Toronto, back again. Scotty's, boom, ready to go. Boom. Case saying Raptors in 6 or 7. I hope so. Lion Hunter just subscribed. I appreciate the optimism and calling out things as they are. I appreciate you too, Lion Hunter. You had a great observation earlier. And this is the thing. It's like this is a shared thing. This is a two-way street. Like I'm not just some guy who knows it all and just says it all out here. I'm very humble about this. It's like you guys bring me information all the time. You guys can sway my opinion and show me things that I don't see. And I love the community of that. Like Raymond Jacob, Tom Duke, Sue, Callie, everybody, Monique, the people that are here regularly. This is a real hive mind. In a real shared place of ideas where we all come together. And I'd love for you to be a part of this on the regular going forward. And yeah, we're always going to be positive and optimistic, no matter how dark it gets for us. Like you should have seen the stream the day after that Detroit game when we lost to them that morning that we were going to play the Milwaukee Bucks. It was a very interesting stream. And then you see the stream we did the day after that when we did come out there and beat them after Bobby Portis tried to punk us. You know, there's very interesting streams from this past year of where we've had to be very positive Raptors in situations where it was really dire, like losing to Detroit and Orlando consecutive games. That was really bad. And then going out on the West Coast trip and winning all 5 of those games against really badass Western teams. It's that kind of stuff. There's a dichotomy, and it's that don't get too up and don't get too low and just kind of keep even keeled, like the team's been saying, man. Peter's saying this channel's badass. I appreciate that, Peter. Hit that subscribe, share it with other Raptor friends that you guys have that are real ones, people that want to come and do this. Like I said, I have a whole schedule for the summer, and I'm not shutting it down for the summer. I'm going to be doing every single day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, Sunday, special report, Monday memories, Tuesday trivia, Wednesday watch-alongs, Thursday think tank, Friday freak out, and Saturday spotlight. We got 7 different segments for every day of the week. We're going to do different things that celebrate the Raptors and the history, the rich tradition of the history of the Raptors in their 27 years as a franchise. And we go all the way back. We talk about the early years of the Purple Dinosaurs and Damon Stoudemire. We talk about the Vince Carter years. We talk about the Chris Bosh years. We talk about the Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan respect building years and what's going on presently and stuff like that. So look for our whole schedule. There may be certain days of the week that you enjoy the content more. Like you may really get into the trivia that we've been playing, where G is our champion right now. He has the most points. He's going to win a practice jersey signed by Jerome Williams, the JYD I have here. It's going to be going to the champion. And we'll have a new prize for the second season that everybody can try and get. Also, you may like the watch along that I'm going to do on Wednesday, where I watch an old Raptors game from the past and talk about it in real time. And you guys can watch it with me at the same time. So like, this is the ultimate place for positive Raptor fans that really want to cheer their team and build a culture of supportive, positive Raptor fans for our team, no matter what, whether it's battling with these idiots from Sixer Nation that are coming in here, or talking to the nice Sixer fans, or just battling our own inside our own fan base toxicity and doubt and problems with that. I saw too much of that with our fan base, and I was like, you know what, we need to turn this around and start shining more positive lights and encourage us towards things like Pascal Siakam is a big believer in Les Brown's teachings of allowing good things to happen for yourself by allowing it and trying to go for it. And that's what we need to be more like as a fan base, I feel like, because we were really toxic after the bubble. We were so awful to our team, and I hated seeing that. And I knew this season was going to be ups and downs because of the nature of the development and not knowing whether we're going to be good or bad. And I knew that if we cause more positivity to be out there, we may succeed and overachieve and do something like what we did this year. And that's part of what we're doing here is we're trying to do that for the team and build that platform of support. Seymour Pape saying refs up 2-0. Seymour's the best. Sue saying we shouldn't be putting Flynn and FVV out there at the same time. Two short guards out there that are easier to shoot over is not working. I know Flynn can be better on offense than Delano, but Delano would be better on defense. Yeah, I agree with Sue. I don't like when they do the double point guard lineup either. That's something we did a lot with Kyle Lowry and Fred in past years, and it worked with them. But that was specifically them, those two together. And Malachi does not do the same thing or bring the same kind of stuff that Kyle does off of Fred. And I agree with this. I wanted them to play Malachi last night, but I wanted him to come in for Fred. And that when Fred wasn't out there, maybe he's the guy trying to trace Maxey around. Or maybe Fred needs to go sit for part of the game and really rest his knees some so he's completely fresh more by not being out there at the same time. I totally agree with Sue on this. I hate seeing that double point guard lineup because in some ways it gives them a good mismatch and an easy place to try and score on us. So, yeah, I'm with Sue on this 100%. Sue saying second quarter was ugly, so let's not do that again. Yeah, and that really is kind of coinciding with what the alignment that she's talking about. And you guys are all agreeing with her. See this here. Exactly, Sue's G saying, we have so many big players and want to see Delano. I want to see our big lineups. Yeah, we want to see like we can do so many interesting things with our lineup. But you know, it is true with Scotty not out there, it takes a big chunk of our versatility out because of his ball handling skill and his all-around play. Like not having him out there, as Nick Nurse said in the pregame, is like missing three players. You're missing your backup point guard. You're missing a backup center. You're missing this as a three-point shooter. You're missing this. And he says it's going to take like three different guys to make up for what Scotty actually produces and gives us in one player. And that is part of the really great benefit of having a player like Scotty Barnes is that he is so much all at once. And he's just one guy at the same time, whereas you might need three guys to do what he does otherwise. And that sucks. And that's a big reason why we need to get him back. And hopefully he will be back tomorrow. Like I'm hoping, like I think that he is, maybe. If he's not back for the third game, he will be back for the fourth game. Mark my words right now. Teflon saying that, gee, we give up too many open threes. Danny Green smoked us. Yeah, that's by design. Doc Rivers' scheme is really to like, you guys got to go and watch our main superstars, Embiid and Harden and Maxey now. And we're really going to get those guys in the corner. We're really going to find Danny Green and Georges Niang and try and get them those shots. And one of the things Nick Nurse said after the game last night that he didn't like about what we did was exactly what you're saying about the threes, is that Teflon, is that they had like 8 guys make threes last night. Like Thibault hit a three, Milton hit a three. Every single one of them hit a three for the most part. And we only had like 2 or 3 guys hitting threes last night. And that really hurt us in the 3-point battle. That they had role player guys coming off the bench like Thibault, and all of a sudden they hit a three, and that really helps. That really helps them. When Yang gets a three, let me look at it like specifically. Like if I look at it, Tobias Harris was 3 for 3 from 3. That's absolutely no good. Danny got 3 himself. Embiid hit a 3. That was that weird circus shot in the corner that he made. Like he had 2 shots late that actually showed his skill. And even that one that rolled up against the backboard and then fell back in. There were 3 plays where he really showed his offensive skill as such a big player that I did kind of respect. But everything else wipes all the other respect away. But Embiid hit a 3. Maxey hit three threes. Harden hit a 3. Yang hit a 3. Thibault, Milton, they're all hitting threes. At least 1 3. And that really hurt us because when none of our guys were hitting threes, we had like Fred 5 for 16, OG 4 for 7, and then Chris and Kem both hit threes, and that was it. 4 guys hit threes for us. 8 of their guys hit threes, and that's really, really bad. All right, let's see. Teflon. Okay, Seymour saying Rose McGrady, Carter, Mourning, Bosch, ex-Raptors I hate the most. That's a good list, Seymour. And I don't hate McGrady as much. I think McGrady made a mistake because people told him the wrong thing. And he was very young at that time in some ways. I don't hate McGrady as much as the other guys, but I do hate Carter. I do hate Rose, and I definitely hate Alonzo Mourning. There's no reason for me to like Alonzo Mourning. And Chris Bosh is weird. Like, I want to like Chris Bosh. There's things about Chris Bosh that I really like and respect about him, but I do still hold a grudge against him for just turning his back on our team and going to Miami. So McGrady and Bosch are kind of in between, but those other guys, oh my gosh, I can't stand those other guys for real. G saying Raps only made 3 less threes. Raps were inefficient though. Yeah, they were really inefficient. Like Fred took so many threes that he should have made. Like even if he had made half of his threes, like that would be 8 3-pointers. And that would be 3 more threes than he made. That would be 9 more points. That would help in the 15-point deficit that we were at for sure. Let's see. K Brown saying it's okay, hun. I'm not surprised about Jalen Rose picking Mobley. Jesus also has come across traitors and was betrayed. Wow, K Brown, man. It was just Easter, and I know this is like the beginning of spring. There's a lot of religiosity. You sounded just like Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction when you wrote that comment. And I have to say, I'm in awe of you. And if you're a new regular here, I'm so here for it. This is awesome. I love this. You're implementing some religiosity into the stream, and I love it. That's great. Take it easy to you also, K Brown. I hope I see you again also. Nick's here. Nick 21. Marc Gasol made Embiid shoot below 10 free throws a game because he played smart defense. Raptors use either too much contact or too little. Yeah. It's like go all the way or don't, but it's like you're going to get burned one way or another. It seems like it. I don't know what to say at this point, Nick, as far as our defense. It's like we're trying in some ways. The first game we didn't try. Last night we tried better, but we're still seeing that there's going to be a certain hand holding for the refs with Joel Embiid in his game and his ability to get the free throw line, unfortunately. But yeah, Marc Gasol did such a great job in this series. But we also have to remember Joel Embiid is a completely different player than when Mark guarded him. He is much better now. He has developed this game further outside the pivot, and he's more of a scorer that can slash and kind of do stuff also. Like Gasol had it easier in some ways just because Embiid was just going to post up and he just had to guard him down low. And now Embiid's kind of all over the court and kind of coming at different directions and doing different things. That makes it way, way harder. And in some ways, if we had Marc Gasol right now, of course he'd be older and he'd be slower. But if we had that Marc Gasol from then, he may have a harder time guarding Joel Embiid 2022 compared to Joel Embiid 2019 is what I'm saying. Because he's a different player. He's really grown. He's gotten a lot better. Peter's saying, I'd like to see an all-star and WNBA team play the worst NBA team. No dunking allowed. That'd be interesting. One of the things you brought up the WNBA, Peter, is I'd love to see the WNBA get to Toronto. We need a WNBA team here in this city so bad. It would just make so much sense. There's so many different things about it that would just fit. I know it'd be a huge moneymaker. I know that part of it may be the feasibility economics of having a Canadian team in the WNBA. They see that maybe it's tough with travel or different. I don't know why, but they need to give us a WNBA team. That we would be a huge, perfect market for the WNBA. And the other thing I want to see is more WNBA fantasy sports. Like I used to play a lot of fantasy sports, fantasy football, hockey, basketball, baseball. I played all 4 of the major sports and I was really good at it. Like I know how to play fantasy sports and win. Like I could do a channel that's just advice on how to win fantasy sports. And I'd probably do really good with it, but I don't do it anymore. I gave up on it. I quit fantasy football when they blacklisted Colin Kaepernick and I turned my back on the NFL. I don't watch the NFL at all at this point. And it's too much work. But if they did have a really good WNBA fantasy league, I would play that right now because I want to play WNBA fantasy because I want to learn the league better. I want to learn the players, and that's the best way for me to learn it is play fantasy. And I think you're dropping the ball, ESPN and Yahoo, that you don't carry the WNBA in your fantasy sports, and you need to fucking go do it. Oh yeah, get that going and get us a WNBA team also. CC has always been here every morning. Laugh out loud. I don't always comment. I love listening. Oh, CC, that's good. Yeah, I know. I see you from time to time. I only can tell if you're here by when you come in here. There's certain people that watch me every day that I know are here because they tell me, but they have never said one comment here. And I know who they are. I know who you are watching me, Dad. But yeah, Cece, I'm glad you're here normally and regularly. Please continue, and it is very much appreciated. You're awesome. You are so awesome. Max is here. Joel is a crybaby. I love that Max said that. You're right. If I go 3 hours today, I'm fine with it. That's crazy. I'll go 3 hours on a loss, but I want to make sure I get all the comments in. And now that this guy's gone, maybe it'll be cleaned up and a little bit more productive and gold in here to talk about instead of just fighting. CC's saying, okay, yeah, I already read that. Mar Smith's here again. I love seeing Mar every morning. Lex, that purple logo Raptors hat is bonkers. I know, I love it. My lady Adriana got it for me. I like it. I like the little purple underneath and stuff like that. It's pretty good. I've got a pretty good collection of hats, and I only wear purple when we lose. That's the signifier of us losing. And if you see more purple on my body, that means I'm more disappointed with how we played and stuff like that. But I appreciate the compliment for the hat. I like it too. I like the old logo, so it's one of my favorites. Seymour saying Birch was laying on the floor and got called for a foul. Then refs eat ass. I love that, just like the vulgarity of that the refs eat ass because Birch is lying on the floor. Oh, man, Seymour, you're badass. Summer's saying, I really thought Malachi played really bad. I think his career is over. He shot 4 air balls. Summer, this is something we got to think about. And this is what, when Nick Nurse is saying we're testing the mettle of this team, we're going to see what kind of character they have when they're pushed down and they're in trouble. What do they have? Do they rise to the occasion? Are they going to be like Rocky Balboa and rising up on the street? Are they going to have Eye of the Tiger? And if guys don't have Eye of the Tiger or things that can do something to help produce and something like that, then Bobby Webster's watching and he's going to be trying to figure out who he wants to invest in and stuff like that. That's why it's really important for guys like Scotty and Precious to come out there and show that they are not going to shrink in the playoff spotlight, because it may be boding for what their contract offers are for later. And Malachi did not do enough to help his case. I agree with you, Summer. And you might be right that the writing is on the wall and that he may not be a big part of the Raptors' plans in the future because he's not showing enough. And this is the thing. He really had a lot of opportunities to shoot last night, and he did not make a single damn one of them. And that is just unexcusable. He had 4 shots, 2 3-pointers, 0 for 4, 0 points, 1 rebound, 4 fouls. That is all Malachi did last night. And you could see it on him that he was disappointed in himself, that he did not play good enough. He knows it. And Nick Nurse gave him some flowers at the end of the game. He said, I thought Malachi did really well defensively, but he didn't make his shots. That's what he said exactly. And that's too bad. And you know what, Summer, I'm that way. I mean, this is the thing. This is sports. This is cutthroat. We can't have like, oh, we feel good. We love you, Yuta. We love you, Svi. We love you, Malachi. We just want you to be here because it's happy. No, that's how you're a shitty team year after year when you get soft. And 2, like, I'm going to give you so many chances. These guys got to do it. They got to get it, and they got to prove it, or they're out the door. And that's just the pure, sad truth of the business of the NBA. And, Malachi, you have not proven anything that made me want you to be a long-term Raptor. There's not been anything this whole entire year. You have had more failure and stuff than good. There's been good spots at time to time, but for most part, it's been failure. And that is what we're saying right here. And I think Summer's right that Malachi, you might be in big trouble, even though you're on a rookie contract and supposedly you're supposed to get it next year. But I don't know if you'll get played or even get that spot. There's all up in the air in the summertime. You don't know how it's going to shake out. It could be very interesting. G saying, asked him to stop and he was respectful after. So I just an FYI. I didn't read any of it. Actually, as soon as I saw the brooms, I actually hit all of his comments and I didn't read a single one of them. So I didn't see any of his argument or anything I had to say. And it's really basically because, like, look, Sixer fans that have been here and have been fine have come in a way that we're talking. If they're coming right in with the brooms and the shack talk and shit like that, get them fuck out of here and stuff like that. But listen, like I said, it may not be in your nature and stuff like that. You can do it, and I don't want you to be over controlling also. But just in case, and there, you may not be here every single morning. I know you are here most of the mornings. I'm going to give a couple wrenches to other people also, just to be have more of it, just for maybe possibly this week in particular, with the series and it winding down and seeing how it goes and stuff like that. Sixer fan may come in here and really try and kick the shit out of me in a lot of ways, and you guys are kind of like my defensive line. Like offensive line. I mean, if I'm the quarterback, you guys are going to be there with the right guard and the right and stuff like that, and trying to help protect me in some ways, so I can get the ball down the court and get a touchdown. So yeah, but yeah, you know what? And some people, like, look, if they're already showing that they're a certain way and stuff like that, you can't try and come at them and plead for respect from them. They're just going to be that way. They're going to stomp all over you and be like, "No, fuck this. I'm not going to respect you." And it's like they're going to laugh at us, stuff like that. Yeah. Raymond saying, "Heh, poor Mark. He was fine after the gloating." Yeah, no, it's like, listen, I don't even want to. If that's the way they step into it with it right from the start, then that's it. That's done. Okay, so he started talking more normal and fine. I don't care. Honestly, this channel's not for him anyway. It's like the other Sixer fans that are here and cool with us, they've ingratiated themselves and we're cool and they're allowed to be here. But if they're going to come in right away and try and be abusive and insulting and stuff like that, no, zero tolerance, honestly. As much as you guys love watching me cut promos, and maybe it's just certain times of the year, like now it's the playoffs and this is more likely to happen. But like throughout the season, yeah, be more lenient, let them talk. But right now, we maybe need to clamp down, just like the Raptors defense does. It's a similar thing. We need to clamp down on our defense on the channel also. All right, let's see. Friday, Saturday. As a Raptors fan, I'm actually okay with being down 2 right now. Some of us were getting too cocky based on the regular season. I told, man, that Maxey was the wild card. Now everybody sees it. Yeah, okay, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, this is fair. In some ways, maybe we were a little too overconfident. We've handled Philadelphia really well over the last few years, and then going all the way back to 2019. Like, there hasn't been a whole lot of difference. They have not shown any kind of dominance over us in the regular season, even in our COVID year. Like, we were not. I think we went back and forth with them and won half our games and lost half our games with them and stuff like that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that kind of message is good for us, that no fan nation should get too cocky, that there is always a good way to be measured and realistic and respectful and just kind of like, we'll take it as it is and stuff like that. And maybe Raptor fans were a little bit too sure of ourselves going into the series. And some of the things that happened in game 1 really got derailed and got messed up. And yeah, you know what? I was picking Maxey too to be a huge part of this game and the series and be possibly a huge problem for the Raptors, because he's just that kind of player and he's a badass. And he's the kind of guy we wish we had on the Raptors for sure too. G saying, I will admit Kyle does embellish for calls, but now I know why he evolved to that. They all do that. It's really a lot of politicking. It's amazing how much politicking goes on the court. And they don't give an inch. They don't budge. Like, it's for the littlest shit they're arguing over it just to try and curry the favor correctly. It's so crazy. It's messed up. Seymour Pape saying at Friday, Saturday, are we good? We will bounce back. Nick Nurse is good at what he does. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I understand what Friday, Saturday is saying. I'm okay with being down 0-2 also, because like I said, this is them holding serve. The Sixers needed to win these 2 games, and this is them protecting their stuff. Now it's on us. We need to protect our stuff. Now, I won't be okay if we lose game 3, because that is a place we need to win, and that is a game we need to win if we have any respect for ourselves in trying to show that we are more competitive and better than what we've shown already in this series, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Friday saying also, Maxey's legit. We don't have athletic smalls to stay in front of him. Add that to the lopsided foul calls, and that's it. We can bounce back, and even at home, no need to panic. Yeah, this is the very clear thinking, grounded Raptor fan, and I like that they're mixing optimism in with realism with what they're saying, because this is true that Maxey is legit. He's somebody we really got to focus on. In fact, we may need to focus on him more than James Harden at this point in the series. And I might disagree that we don't have the athletic smalls to stay in front of him. It's just I think that we need to give each one of them a chance. Flynn did okay at slowing them down to a degree. I'd like to see Armani Brooks get the next chance. That like Malachi Flynn got his audition last night and he failed, as Summer and I have put it. And now maybe Armani needs to get that chance in the next game if we don't get Scotty Barnes back tomorrow night. And then we need that extra point guard in person to chase him around. Like I'd like Armani to get his tryout now. Friday saying Seymour Pate literally just wrote that, all facts, never nervous. Yeah, good stuff. You guys are cool. Family saying, I still know in my heart we're taking 3 and 4 and turning this around. I love that attitude, and I'm with you on this. That's what I want. I'm pre-visualizing success for us also. And when we do the preview tomorrow, I'll be trying to lay it all out and looking at the ref matchup, looking at I call it a matchup now. I don't even call it a check because it's kind of is a matchup. Looking at the refs, kind of been listening to what they're saying about the injuries and who might be available for tomorrow night. Hopefully Scotty Barnes. And we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. It is really a day-by-day, play-by-play kind of thing, the playoffs and the way that it all pans out. Kay saying, I totally agree with you having respect for Maxey. Totally have respect for Maxey. Joel needs to play and work as hard as Maxey to gain true respect. Stop the flopping. He actually would get our respect if he just cut out that extra bullshit. Like, honestly, I want to respect the guy in some ways, but he makes himself so unlikable and just such a piece of shit and the stuff. And that's why I'm calling him Frankenstein Will Smith today, is because, like, the thing at the end of the game with Nick Nurse was absolutely the last straw for me. Like, first of all, you were a complete goon in the first game, and you cannot deny that you were fucking being dirty, and you actually hurt some of our players and put them out. And then now, like, you know, like I said, you're whining and crying, even though you're getting the red carpet rolled out for you, Joel Embiid. And it's so fucked up and stupid. And plus, you know what? Listen, shut up about it in the press conference. Shut up about it talking to our coach. Just take these good wins and good things happening, and then maybe you might get respect from us like Maxey's getting from us. You gotta cut out all that extra stupid shit, honestly. And I don't care if it's personal to you on the download from the last series where we beat you and you were crying like a little baby bitch running through the halls of the Scotiabank Arena because we just put your ass out. You know, listen, we want to respect you, but you're not giving us that. You're a la baby. You are another la baby. You're just the latest edition at this point. G saying this will motivate Masai even more. I believe that. I think this should motivate every single aspect of the Raptors nation, whether it's the front office, whether it's the coaching staff, whether it's the players, whether it's the fans. We need to come correct tomorrow night and bring the support, the unconditional support, and the defiance of reacting to anything the Sixers do in the game. Do not let them control our court or our crowd as far as like shutting them up or anything like that. They could be doing good things. We need to be even louder. We need to be that kind of defiant. And that if we can get that kind of reputation for our crowd in the NBA, it's like, well, it doesn't matter if you get a lead. You can't shut the Raptors crowd up in any kind of way. I want to build that. I want to build that kind of a heritage in our fan culture at the Scotiabank Arena, that we don't shut up no matter what, whether we're winning or losing, whether we're up by 20 or we're down by 20, we're just loud and making a difference no matter what. If we can build this more and more over the years, I would so love it. If this can happen over the years, this will be a huge weapon for us that not other fan bases have been able to tap into or do. And it's going to really take a coordinated effort by the fans to really bring the energy and keep it up, even when it seems like the sky is falling. No more chicken littling. No more sucking the air out of the building when the Sixers go on a run and all of a sudden they're up by double digits in our building. No, that's when we get louder. That's when we get more defiant and we show that they can't fucking control whether we're loud or not by their play and doing well. That is what I'm describing and talking about right now. And I'd love to see that develop with our fan nation because it truly would be unique. in the world of sports, because that's just the psychology of it. Well, who's to say? Why do we have to just do that? Because that's how crowds have reacted throughout the history of sports. Why don't we fucking buck the system and say, well, we're a new breed. We don't give a shit. We're going to cheer no matter what. That's what I want to build. And if that's my legacy as a Raptor freak and trying to start with our fan nation, I would love it. Because there's some things that I started way young. Like when I was working in the building in the 2000s for the Sixers Raptors series against Vince and AI, there were certain things I was trying to plant the seeds that started then with our fan nation that weren't happening then, that are now fully in effect with our fan nation now. And I love seeing it. I used to have to yell at the crowd to get up out of their seats. Raptor fans treated the game like dinner theater, like they were going to the movies, and that they just wanted to sit there and watch, and they weren't loud enough. And I started getting them loud. I would go out there in my sub uniform and I'd be like, come on. And I'd be like, yeah. And the little kids would be following me. They'd be like, yeah. And then their dad would be like, no, be quiet. And I'd be like, shut the fuck up, Dad. Let the kid get loud, because the kids are the future and they've grown up. And a lot of them are these younger fans, and they cheer for the Raptors in a different way than the older fans in some ways, because they don't know how bad we were and they don't realize how it was in a certain way, because they've been here for the good time and that kind of stuff. That's just kind of my picture of like Raptors fandom and how we cheer the building and how it's evolved over the years. It's been really good. And we can go to another step is what I'm saying. Let's see. I got nothing but confidence in the way this team bounced back. Yep. To be a good NBA team, you have to learn how to lose and then learn how to win. That's true. I don't care if we get swept. It's all learning experiences right now. Yeah, it's just an experience in learning, getting swept and feeling those feelings and stuff like that. And like I said, Scotty's sitting on the bench, feeling helpless, being hurt, not being able to be out there. It got to be some sort of clicking of some sort of motivation inside of him to get healthy and to be all that when he gets back and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Family saying, if you send any of these players want to lose, they're trying their best. And they're not trying to lose. Malachi doesn't want to fail. There may be a certain level of play that he just can't get to as an individual. And that's just how it is. It's just a cruel world. These guys that play in the NBA are a special select group. Let's not get it twisted. As they said on the Hustle Play Chris Boucher podcast, how many people play in the NBA? There's like maybe 300 or something like that. These are the absolute best NBA players in the world. Just to be even sniffing the NBA, like guys like Kevon Harris on the 905, these are really great athletes. And honestly, all of them should be respected for being in such a small minority of the population of the whole entire world. And that they are like really badass. Just being in the league is an accomplishment in itself in some ways. So that's like something that fans forget, or they too easily like poo-poo or something like that. These men work really hard, and it's a very exclusive club to be in. And we are nowhere near ourselves. So who the fuck are we to talk about them like this? Is what I'm saying to a degree also. K. Brown saying, I stopped respecting LeBron from that all-star pick this year. I didn't like how he treated Freddie in the pick and talk about he's choosing Fred because of Chuck. Shaking my head. Fred's an all-star and a champ. Yeah, I didn't see the schoolyard picking. That's always a stupid shit like show when they do the all-star picks for who they want on their teams. I like it in some ways, but I also think it's kind of full of shit in some ways also. I thought it was hilarious that that Kevin did not want to take James Harden, and that the way that whole thing went down with that was pretty hilarious with it. But other than that, hilarious stuff in some ways. But yeah, I don't like that. That is an opportunity for this reinforcement of dissing the Raptors and putting us down in certain ways, is some of the stuff like that in that kind of way. LeBron deep down hates the Raptors, and some for different reasons. And part of it is that we did beat, they beat us for a long time and they had us, but we've shown like we can beat his ass since he went to the West Coast. His record on the Lakers against the Raptors is really poor. We've kicked the shit out of him since he's been on the Lakers. Even in the championship year, we beat their ass a lot when they won in the bubble, that asterisk bubble championship that they got. Let's see. Family saying, I stopped respecting LBJ when he threw the ball off rookie's face because he was getting cooked. Yeah, that was really tacky. Really, really tacky. And it kind of showed the difference in like maturity between a rookie and this guy who's supposed to be in the greatest of all time argument. He's supposed to be, but honestly, he shouldn't be in it. Even with all of his personal things. All right, let's see. William Kettner's here. He is a Sixers fan. I've seen him before in here before. Stop it. Sixers can beat literally anyone in this league. I don't believe that. I really don't. You guys have had flaws. You guys have some of the same problems that we have. You guys can have offensive lapses where nobody's hitting anything. And you can also be really shitty on defense. You have good defensive players in certain places, but you saw how Niang was getting lit up last night. Like that dude is going to get burned, and he may end up being a liability to y'all in different places in different ways. And Danny Green can be that also. He's playing pretty good right now, but your team is not as good defensively as you think they are. In some ways, it's something of this and this and this. But I think it's important for every fan of every sports nation to believe in their team. But this is my outside observation as a Raptor fan, somebody who played every single team this year, saw the games very closely, and you guys are a pretender for the championship. I'm going to tell you right now that you don't have as much of a chance as some of these other Eastern teams to get through there. And if you get to the finals, you do get there, you're going to get beat by the Western team. Because the West teams in some ways are way better than the Eastern teams. Like the top Western teams are badass. Like in particular, I'm going to say Phoenix, obviously, but Memphis is really dangerous in some weird ways. Like really dangerous in some weird ways. They have a little bit of youth experience on that's against them, but they're very dangerous in other ways. I don't have much faith in Dallas or Denver or Utah. But and even Golden State, I don't have as much faith in them as some other people do. Like everybody's talking about Golden State this, Golden State that. But Phoenix and Memphis look the fuck out. Like if those are the teams in the finals, they're going to be really trying to win it. And Chris Paul gets to the finals in the second year. He's going to really try and win it this year. And this may be their year, the Phoenix Suns. So yeah, but that's good that you're, as a Sixer fan, William, that you believe in your team no matter what. But as far as my eye test, and I'm just being pure, simple truth, there were certain teams in the Eastern Conference that we played during the regular season. And I'm like, this team is a pretender. This is not a full-fledged team that's going to go all the way. And unfortunately, your team was one of them that I thought that. And I thought that all season. You guys didn't prove it wrong until now in the first round. I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe they have some legs. Maybe they will get somewhere in the playoffs. But I don't think you have the legs to go all the way. Is what I'm saying. Family saying the problem with the NBA is certain players get certain calls because they need to take the names off the backs of the jersey, and everybody should play this by the same rules. So that doesn't happen. Yeah, this is true. Like I was saying, there's golden boys. There's people that bring ratings, that bring in the television money, and that they want them to be playing. Like I said, in the first game, if Joel Embiid had been called flagrant for both the elbows to the face, he would have been thrown out of the game if he was a normal NBA, regular, everyman kind of player. But because he's Joel Embiid, they looked the other way and gave him the first one as a free one, the one on Ken Birch. But then the second one was too much. They had to call at least one. But, if he had gotten a third one, they probably would have looked the other way and said, no, we can't put him out because he's too important for ratings or for things like that. And that sucks because that is factored in to the refereeing to an extent. We've seen favorable things for different people, whether it's Luka getting a technical taken away from him from Tony Brothers so that he doesn't get automatically suspended for the last game of the season. That was one really fucked up thing. And then we've also seen situations where they'll switch a foul on someone who's about to get their sixth foul and should be fouling out, and they give it mysteriously to another player that's next to them instead of them fouling out. Stuff like that happens is what I'm saying. And LeBron got a lot of that kind of favorable shit when they played us also in both the games that we played against them. And it sucks. It's an unfortunate reality of the NBA. All right, let's see. The family saying this tells you if you need a big mobile big man, playing small dirt ball only works with certain teams. I think small ball is dead in general. I think that there's an in-between that's what's happening. And we are actually the wave of the future. Is this positionless with a bunch of guys that are 6'9" that can do it all and are interchangeable? That is the wave of the future. Our team is the future. And a team like Philadelphia is the past. Like I said, these teams with Jokic and Embiid aren't built for winning championships in the new era of what the NBA is becoming. And small ball doesn't work either. What James Harden and those guys were doing in Houston was never going to work because there's no defense in small ball. And that's why I think the flaws of small ball are fucked up. But what we're doing isn't small ball because we don't have a center. It's not actually what we're doing. We're actually a different kind of thing. We're a 6'9" positionless kind of thing. And there's going to be more and more teams copying us and trying to get what we did this year, more and more looking like what their roster looks like. But it's hard to find very super versatile 6'9" guys that can do it all, like what we have right now, and get them all at the same time in the right place. It's really hard to do, and it's really a testament to Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri building this and having this scheme for a couple years now, and getting into it more and more as they go through with their team building process of what they want this team to look like. So I really think the small ball's dead, and so is the big center, and it's going to be positionless right in the middle. What we're doing is the future. And it's going to be more and more evident because the team scheme is going to overrule superstars like Joel Embiid. Like the team effort and the team kind of idea of how doing everything with all together and balance in your lineup is going to start beating superstar teams in this league consistently. And it's going to kill the LeBron collect two of your buddies that are the best and try and win championships with shitty team, the rest of your team thing. It's going to end this. What the Nets and the Lakers are doing is going to die also with the retirement of LeBron James and Kevin Durant eventually. Those guys were the guys that were lazy and wanted to just play with their friends and get easy championships. Well, guys like Giannis aren't like that. They're like, I'm staying in my team, and I don't need to go fucking collect guys. I'm going to do it the team way, more similar like the Raptors, more similar like the Suns, the Bucks, stuff like that. Those teams are the waves of the future. That's what I'm really seeing and stuff like that. So, I don't understand why our management doesn't understand this. Yeah, I guess I kind of just talked about everything and the way I view this. I think what they're doing is really smart, and it is going to work out. But it is the kind of thing. Also, this summer we might go and get a center this year. We might actually get a center finally. Maybe it might not be a starting center, but it may be like a backup guy that can actually be put in just in case. And he may not actually start. It may be just like in case of emergency break, and boom, you got this center out here all of a sudden. It's trial and error and putting a puzzle together. And this is the first step of putting the puzzle together. Yeah, I have to agree with that. We have a really clear puzzle that we're building. Like the pieces they've been putting in have been very calculated and have gotten us to this roster makeup that everybody thinks is so unconventional and weird. And I think it's the right way. I've seen the signs of success, and we've seen how much they did so well in a development year with this kind of building of philosophy with the positionless schemes and stuff like that. Let's see. G says, Alexi, I have to admit, some Raptors fans do go to their sites and act toxic too. Passionate fans across the NBA. Yeah, listen, we're one and the same. And I'm not going to lie. Yeah, there's a lot of toxicity in the Raptors nation also. And we do have people that are aggressively going over to Philly places and talking shit. So they're not doing it today, obviously. But at different times, we do have fans that are like that. That's just a quality of every fan nation. And that's what I'm saying. We got to be different kind of role models in different kinds of ways and stuff like that. And there's different levels of toxicity and stuff. Like there's some Raptor fans that said we should never boo Goran Dragic. Why are you booing Goran Dragic? I'm like, oh, wait, come on. We're fans, aren't we? But like some people are so nice. So like they won't even want to boo Goran Dragic. And then some people are like, yeah, they're going to write some nasty, crazy shit that's really hateful and wrong in all kinds of ways, super toxic, coming from Raptor Nation towards people and stuff like that. I don't agree with that. I'm somewhere in the middle. I am a fanatic and I really love this team, but there's also, there's lines you don't want to cross in certain ways as far as a fan. And there's certain stuff that, like, if you're like trying to poison opposing players on teams, or doing shit like calling in fire drills while in their hotel, or doing shit like that, or threatening their family, or some of the shit that happened in Westbrook this year, different things like that. And there's also racial stuff that I really don't like that happens with fans also on the court, like things that are said to players in different places. Like there's probably a whole bunch of shit that was said to the Raptors on the Philly home court from the fans is real ugly and really kind of fucked up. And they have to just tune it out to a degree at a certain point and just realize it's part of the noise. And, some of our fans will act that way also tomorrow night in our building and probably say some fucked up things to their team also. We have to admit that we're not perfect, and there are ugly sides to our fan base also, for sure. Yeah. G said, when I spoke to him, he stopped. We'll do it sooner, though. Or give it to the family. Listen, it's just that he's so much. Like, it's one thing if they just come in and they have a couple comments and we talk a little bit back and forth. But if there's like spamming, like I said, it's the volume of how much that guy wrote is way too much. Even if he was talking nice things and stuff, like he came in the wrong way. And I didn't see any of what he said. I didn't read. I saw the brooms and I'm like, close it up. That's it. I'm done. Monique's here. Good to see Superfan Monique, who's hopefully going to the game tomorrow. We're going home. Things will change. They have to adjust. Go Raptors. That's what they asked Kawhi after the Milwaukee 2 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. He said, well, what are you going to do now? He said, well, we're going to go back to Toronto. And then boom, we saw what happened. It's going to be very interesting. Social Man Films. Okay, Miami fan was here at the end of the stream yesterday. He just checked in for a second. Let's see what he's saying. Go Toronto, but we can't wait for Philly. Mwahaha. Okay, whatever, Miami fan. I said a lot of nice things about your team just a little while ago and stuff like that. But, I could say a lot of bad things about your team also. But, yeah, listen, if it is going to be Philadelphia against you guys, I'll be rooting for you guys probably just partly because of Embiid being such a bitch in this series, and also Kyle Lowry, of course. Kyle Lowry is somebody that I will do stuff like that. No, don't. I'm not going to reinstate him. There's no reason to. He's not a Raptor fan. If he's a Raptor fan and stuff like that, yeah, then. But this is a channel for Raptor fans. As much as Heat fan and Sixer fan is here and stuff like that, this is for Raptor fans. I don't mind them coming here. Obviously, I can't stop them from coming in here. I can stop them from being in here, but I can't stop them from coming in here. So it's that kind of thing. So let's see. Raymond's saying, yeah, I'm not going to reinstate anybody. Once you're out, you're out. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Monique saying, love how we bullied Embiid. Embiid doesn't know what's coming from it at Scotiabank Arena. Yeah, Monique, it was nice to see a couple of receipts paid back and stuff like that. And, that's part of the reason why a Sixer fan will probably say we're dirty is because we did dirty shit to get them back. And that's part of what we needed to do. We just had to. She said, yeah, give some wrenches to others as well. I can't always see the comments, can hear you, but can't always look at the comments. All right, yeah. And it's not a slight on you in any kind of way. In fact, this was kind of a silly thing that happened just accidentally that you became a mod here. It makes sense because I don't want you to have any kind of responsibility on here for real, but you can help if you want to. It's just up to you. All right, let's see what's going on. GC Benny. Okay, let's see. I'm going to give him at least one comment. This is what I'll do. I'll give at least one comment. Yo, man, so past. Can't even watch this shit. 30 free throws to 10 for T.O. What a joke. Yeah. So GC's on our side. And Embiid is the best actor ever. Bunch of pussies. 5 against 8 in my eyes. Yeah, Benny, I can't disagree with you in some ways. In some ways, I want to give them some credit, but in some ways they are getting helped along a little bit. But in a lot of ways, they're going to beat us anyway, it seems like, with our effort and the things that are happening and stuff like that. But you're right. 8 on 5 is never right. And Embiid is not acting in the kind of character or the way that, I can respect as a winner. I can't. He's a bad winner. Is what he's saying. And when you said bunch of pussies, I'll echo that. I'll say it over again. Bunch of pussies. Yeah, Benny, that's what this Jason is like. Let's see. AJ's here. Good to see AJ again. 30 times 12 fouls. 30 versus 12 fouls. All Raptor YouTubers need to collaborate to launch an investigation campaign because this happens every year. Well, the more and more we talk about it, the better. We get it out there. The fact that Jack and Matt Devlin acknowledge it in the game and point it out and talk about it, that's really good. And, stuff like what I'm saying, I'm getting in depth. I'm seriously am doing a really close study of the refereeing and the outcomes and the different particular refs, whether it's refs that have grudges, whether it's just a general trend with all the reffing, and, just different little things that I look for, like the 2 quick fouls on Fred VanVleet at the beginning of game 1 and things like that. We're going to do a special report this summer on the refs, and I'm going to dig even more deeper. Like when we go out at some point, hopefully not in the first round, I will be channeling a lot of my focus and work that I do for this station from the season, obviously, to more research on this ref project that I'm talking about. And it's already the preliminary findings I'm finding from it are quite shocking and telling in different ways. But I don't want to divulge too much of it. I want y'all to look out for that on a Sunday this summer when we do a special report on refereeing in the NBA. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And I don't know, I'll band together with any other Raptors YouTubers. I have an open invite to collaborate with any of them, whether it's Greg and the Jubstown Clink, whether it's the point guys who I've worked with in the past, Confederacy of Dunks. I've been on that show a few times. Luca Rosano, him and I have been in contact with each other in different ways. And then Raptors Digest kids, those guys, Samson Falk, All the different kinds of entities that are covering the Raptors. NBA Chef, somebody I'd love to collaborate. It'd be fun to do a collaboration with NBA Chef. He'd be a lot of fun. That's actually the person I'd love to work with the most, actually, out of everybody. G saying, I think a healthy Gary can do all right against Maxey. This is a big factor. One of our best mismatches and best weapons for this series was going to be Gary Trent Jr. Like, he has such a good mismatch against Harden, and we really got spoiled for this because he's so sick and so ineffective right now. And that's why it smacks of me as something weird. You couple in 2 quick, easy fouls on Fred. You couple in a weird, mysterious illness that Gary has all of a sudden. You couple in like the thuggery of Joel Embiid, and this is what you get: the start and the badness that things have been happening. All right, let's see. AJ saying Toronto fans equal less talk, more action. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see more action from our guys in different ways and different things like that. Click saying I would like Minnesota to pull the upset and Miami to beat the shit out of Philly. Yeah, I'd love to see Minnesota beat Memphis. Like, I always root for an underdog. And in some ways, Minnesota's a more veteran team than Memphis. And that may be a factor in what helps them possibly win the series against the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are very young like us, and they may have some first round lessons to learn as a young franchise, just starting out their kind of career in the playoffs with the guys, the core that they have right now. So it's very interesting. AJ saying they took out 3 of our players in game 1, so we can't sit back. Yeah, it's just too bad that we're so thin already. Like, if we really could have trusted in our bench, if we had a good bench like Miami does, or there's certain teams that have really good benches. We just don't have that luxury this year. Our bench just not show up and did not become who we wanted them to be this year, and that just sucks. But that is something we can improve. Those roster spots can be improved this summer. We keep most of our core guys, and we just add better badass weapons that possibly can contribute and become a part of our rotation, unlike a lot of the bench guys this year. That is a really quick, easy way that the Raptors can upgrade even better this summer, is just to reload the bench weapons real quick and get some guys that are a little bit more capable in contributing productive consistently. That's what I want to see. Oh, yeah. Seymour Pape saying, we got to stop complaining too. The refs, they play for the ops. Yeah, reps up 2-0. Yeah, it is what it is. We have a right to complain. It's a free speech. We can say whatever we want and stuff like that. But at a certain point, we need to shut up and not talk about the refereeing and just try and let our play speak for itself and cause the good things to happen for us. Wow, I'm at 360. I'm gonna break my record today. This will be the longest stream I've ever done because I do want to get through everything that's here. Unacceptable that Joel Embiid wasn't ejected. Our team is not allowed to complain, so fans must step in. Yeah, AJ, I agree with that. And tomorrow, really come to the building correct. Sue, Monique, whoever else is going to the game that may be here watching me right now, be loud the whole time. As soon as the Sixers have the ball in any kind of way, right after the jump ball, defensive chance right away. And every single time they're in possession of the ball, we need to be yelling defense, every single one of us in the building and every single one of the people outside in Jurassic Park. Because Paul Pierce said when he played us in the playoffs and we had Jurassic Park in full effect, he could hear the fans inside and outside the building. And that is in itself very daunting to a visiting team, that they see that much support coming from outside and inside. It'll be really interesting. Click saying, guys, at the end of the day, we need to realize that the American media doesn't want us here. We need to support this team through highs and lows. We need to be a consistent fan base. Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why we haven't been a consistent fan base, because the American media has taught us to hate our own selves, and that we need to realize with a filter and understand that kind of conditioning. There's all kinds of really interesting parallel lessons in real life with different things like privilege and discrimination and things like that you can see in the NBA and way things are treated in inequality and stuff like that. And that this is great lessons for us to understand the mechanisms in our own society that cause inequality and discrimination and unfairness for certain people and not for certain people. That the Raptors are kind of like that. Yeah, we're a team without privilege in certain ways, and certain players have privilege. And it is a really great way for people that may not understand concepts of what this is happening in society in general, for seeing it in the sport of basketball. That's a great example of inequality. That's a great example of privilege. That's a great example of discrimination. and things like that. And it's not that I'm equating them as being equal. No, the one in society is much more egregious and awful and horrible in all kinds of different ways. But if you see the mode of transport in the way that it's delivered and the way it happens in the game in the NBA, you can maybe inform and understand more how it happens in society, is what I'm saying. And so, like, this is the sociologist in me, the guy who went to grad school studying sociology, talking right now. But it is really interesting to be able to apply that kind of stuff to the real world and how privilege and discrimination and inequality works, because we see it here. Yeah. And I love that you're saying we just need to be better. This is like people that, groups of people that have been subjugated to discrimination and inequality have had this mentality their whole lives. Well, we just need to be better and do that much better and kick that much better ass to achieve and get the things that we want. And it shows that as our franchise, we have to be like that in this whole situation. I love what you're saying, Click, because it's exactly right. And we could be like, oh, well, what's even the point if it's so unfair and it's something? Well, we can still make things happen and find success and do great things despite all the adversity and the obstacles and the unfairness, is what it is. AJ saying the media isn't above us. We just need to organize. Yeah. Other teams will back us up. Yeah. I think Cleveland fans real quick to get on this train about talking about what Embiid's getting as far as a golden boy, because of JB Bickerstaff and the way he talked about how they stole a game from them at the end of the season. And he got fined for it too. Masai is needs help. It's with this, it seems. Remember, Toronto is the third largest NBA market. Fans have to stop accepting it for it to stop. Well, if we get it out in the public more light on it, then there's more to talk about. This is something they've hidden and tried, and maybe we weren't intelligent enough as a fan base to get it out there in the right kind of way and talk about it in a realistic way where something can happen. Well, maybe things will change. And this could reflect in society also, that the more we shine a light and the more we put it out there and more it's more conversation, then more of the opportunity for things to change over time. And that's maybe the work that we're doing here and starting it and just talking about it here in other places is going to help the noise and help the inertia, the momentum towards these things changing and becoming better in different ways. I like the attitude of trying to make it better over the years and stuff like that. Seymour saying, I know we don't got the best dollar menu meals. Seymour, you're badass. I know we don't got the best dollar menu meals over here in Canada, like the States, but damn, big man, come play up here. I don't even think it's that. I think that consciously the Raptors have decided that they didn't want to get a big guy once Jonas and Mark and all these guys were gone. That they really are trying to set this new tone, that maybe they do see the writing on the wall, that the big center is a hindrance just as much as it's a plus. And they were trying to carve out the new future. I know it's weird. I don't think it's necessary because it does seem like there's a lot of centers available all the time, and that like Cleveland's just stockpiling them half the time. It's like, oh, they've got like 5 centers on the Mavs, and we have like Kem Birch, and that's it. I'm like, that kind of shit does make you think that they're avoiding coming here. But I don't know. We could be very pleasantly surprised, because our franchise is attractive in different ways, that we may get a good free agent center this summer or somehow, like in a trade or something like that. It could be very interesting. AJ saying video editors contact me with clip summaries. Basketball Reference, experienced people out there contact me as well. Event organizers and marketers, etc. He's talking about getting people together and collectivizing and having a goal shared in trying to do this change and stuff like that. That's right, Greg. If you watch this later, Jubstown Clink, he's talking about us banding together with our special forces and trying to make a change in how this is all perceived and change how it all happens. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Seymour's giving love to Monique. Yes, so much love to Google Pixel superstar Monique. The super fan for the Raptors, community champion, just an awesome person all around. AJ saying the injustice turns off would be players, i.e. Gary Trent Jr., probably just dejected and doesn't want to risk injury. Yes, I'm calling super fan. Great idea. Talk to Nad Bhatia. He'd obviously be a great person that champion and talk about different things and stuff like that. He's the kind of guy that could really do something. And Monique is another person that has some power and some clout in different places with different things and stuff like that. So yeah, we want to just change the culture and the idea over time, just like in society in general. We want to move towards progress and better things in society, better equality, better opportunities for everybody on an even keel. And this society is not built that way from the start. And that's dismantling some of it to make sure that it is that way over time. And there's going to be a status quo fight against it and trying to stop it because people are making money that way. They got a gravy train they want to protect, and that it's not in their best interest sometimes to make it a level playing field for everyone. So we got to be ready for that also. Monique saying no Thibault will help. Stay the fuck home. You can't come here, Thibault, because you just got one jab. It's too bad. Summer Low saying we haven't even gotten Tony Brothers yet. Shaking my head. Actually, you know what? Tony Brothers might actually do us a solid and be awesome for us. Like I said, he's a double-edged sword. He can either be really a badass against you or really a badass for you. And sometimes I root for Tony Brothers because he is helping us. He has been that guy sometimes for us. It's really awesome. But yeah, it's going to be interesting if we do get Tony Brothers before the end of this still. We may see him tomorrow. Who knows? Seymour Pape saying, I'm going to start counting the touch fouls. Being in bonus with 7+ minutes left is amazing. I mean, they were in the bonus in the first quarter. It's absolutely insane. Usually a team doesn't get in the bonus until like halfway through the second quarter or something like that, you know. AJ saying, you have to do it alone, Super Freak. We're all busy. Got to collaborate for faster results. We can produce investigation report and get it all the major sports media. Sure. Hey, wow. Shit. If I end up getting a Pulitzer for some of this research I do on the refs and stuff like that, hey, Pulitzer Prize. That's not very likely, but yeah, I'm going to do this work and I'm going to try my best, AJ. I promise you. The injustice triggers a lot of people, so we can argue it. It's also a mental health issue. All we want is fairness. Yeah. Yeah, and this is speaking to a whole other bigger thing in society about things. It's like if you can see the mechanism in the world of the NBA, then you can expand it and understand how it works in the whole real world as in general and stuff like that, and in different places and different things and stuff. AJ's really into this idea. I love it. Imagine official AI and or full team of video review with end of each reconciliation, accounting of fouls to save time. Time is not an excuse for bad calls. Auto live clip, online uploads, etc. You don't have to do it alone. I meant, sorry. Oh, I don't have to do it. I was like, well, I'll go do it alone. That's an interesting idea you just brought up. The idea of having AI robot referees that are computerized, that have no kind of human error, that have no kind of human possible proclivities or like favoritism, and that they are just out there and they ref the game kind of like, a lot of things are getting automized. Like factory workers, different people don't have jobs anymore, and the robots are coming in and replacing them. Well, wait, maybe they can replace the referees with robots that are just by the book and their programs, and that they have to just call it the way it is because their algorithm, their programming. That could be a very interesting future for the NBA if it's that kind of thing. Yeah. Or a live full video referee team. Yeah. I like these kind of ideas because they're progressive in their ideas, and they actually seem like they may be possible solutions for this issue. And if you have a robot that has a program and is just going to call it right down the way it's supposed to, that's perfect refereeing. And you take out all the human nature bullshit that's involved in it, like Mark Lindsay growing up 30 minutes away from the arena that he refereed in last night. That's what I'm saying. Mark Lindsay is from Philadelphia, and he was refereeing the game last night. That's a little... Anyway, y'all, I'm way over. It's 3.5 hours. I know we got mired in the bogs. It was, idiot Sixer fan here and there. And then also cool to see a cool Sixer fan for times here also. And Heat fan, I know, you were all right. Yeah, I'll let you have that one wahaha or whatever. You're not really involved with what we're doing right now anyway. But thanks for watching. Really long stream today. Like, comment, subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. It's really helpful. You guys are really actually giving me a huge boom. Even though we've been losing, I'm getting a lot of new subscribers, and this is fantastic because it's going to help me. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll be able to unlock YouTube in all kinds of different ways and make this channel even better for you guys. So, yeah, I like AJ saying calculates ball and body trajectory change for foul impact. I mean, they could get really detailed with this. Have you guys seen the robot that shoots basketballs that like throws them perfectly from half court? It just sits there and then throws it and it goes straight through the hoop. That's the shit I'm talking about. Pinpoint kind of shit. Seymour saying that makes sense since my new Denny's waiter is moving AI delivery tray. Yeah, that's hilarious. Man, you're talking about Denny's, man. Oh yeah, there is a Denny's in downtown Toronto, like just down near a university and in between university and Bay there's that Denny's down there. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, this is the way of the future. This is the way things are going. Let's automate the referees eventually and just get them the fuck out of there. And then we don't even have to worry about any kind of like illegal gambling, like where these guys are fucking making side money off of the way that they fucking ref and shave points and shit. Sue's saying like tennis has gotten rid of the lines people. Yeah. See, this is the wave of the future. If you want to have perfect officiating for sports, don't even have humans do it, because they do have like what happened recently with the Blue Jays game with that umpire, how bad his calls were. He was 68% right or something like that. That's a horrible percentage. That's like a failing grade if you're in school and you get a 68 on your grade. That's like a D or something like that. That's a D- at the best. So it's like this umpire's failing. Why don't they get a robot that sits behind the plate and can actually read the strike zone very defined? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This automation of the industries and job force in different places, maybe this is an area where it needs to happen faster, is in sports officiating. Yeah, very interesting. G saying Debo, some truth to that, but Raptors did have 12 more points in the paint than the Sixers. We were trying down low, but that also means we should be getting more foul shots because we're actually getting to the basket and they're hitting us. At least we know they're hitting us if we're near the basket. All right, y'all, keep our heads up, shine a light. Let's keep going. It's not over completely yet. We do need to win tomorrow. It's a must-win game. I'll have the proper preview and be prepared for everything as normal and stuff like that. Oh, there's a guy named Debo. That's who you're talking about. Oh, this is a Sixers fan. I must have jumped. I didn't see these. He's saying, as a Sixers fan, what do you guys think your team settles for jump shots and don't go to the paint because Embiid is there? You can see how many air balls your team put up last night. Okay, that's fair to a degree. Yeah, we do settle for jump shots, and maybe we don't try and initiate contact as quickly or as involved, and that may be part of the thing with the free throw discrepancy. But there is still a lot of like ticky-tack fouls that he's getting that we're not getting. Like when Pascal does go to the basket, he's getting slapped on the arms at least 2 or 3 times by Sixer defenders, and none of that ever gets called. That was the case in the regular season. We expected it in the postseason also. But and then also, what are you saying, Debo? I'm going to give you a little bit here at the end. How many were driving, though, mainly jump shots in the paint and hook shots? I say blame your coach. He killed your 2 best players. They were obviously tired and selling for jump shots. Yeah, I'm not going to. I think you're being fair in what you're saying and your observations and stuff like that. I don't blame Nick Nurse too much, but I do blame maybe our players for trying to do too much isolation or too much by themselves, and that they need to play off of each other and do different things like that. Listen, I'm going to end this on a note where it's like we're not salty. It's so salty that we can't give kudos to Sixers and their team and playing well and holding that home court and protecting it. Debo, really good job. You as a Sixers fan should feel real proud of your team and go in that direction. It's like, listen, you can listen to us and see what we're saying and stuff like that. But ultimately what matters is how you feel about your team and how they're doing. And you should be proud and building them up and being real happy about people like Tyrese Maxey being on your team. But coming here and fighting us, it's not really worth it. Like whatever, you guys have a lot to prove still. Like you haven't got far enough to really wear these big boy pants that some of these Sixer fans are trying to throw weight around and stuff like that. So, win the series still first. You got to still win the series, and you haven't done that yet. There's still a lot of time. Raymond Jacobs saying Raps in 6, exactly what I'm talking about. AJ saying we pay their bills. They owe us justice. Our boys put in a lot of effort to become elite defense. All right, let's go. All right, good job. Thanks for being here, everybody. Expect some wrenches for a couple of you guys. And G, like, no big deal. Like, listen, you shouldn't have any responsibility on this channel. You're a fan. You're somebody who comes here and is a part of the Raptor Freak cult and stuff like that. And I don't want you to. Like I said, the wrench thing was really just because we were trying to get you into the trivia game that day. But if you want to use it and wield it, you are welcome to. In fact, I will ask you to if you can in different ways and stuff like that. All right, guys. Let's go, Raptors. I appreciate that, Jordan. All the best. I hope you have a great afternoon. And I'll be back right away at 9:30 a.m. sharp. Expect me then. I think with this new starting time, you guys know exactly when I'm going to be here. Then you don't miss anything and you can actually get here on time and see it. Because some people were saying, oh, we don't know when you're coming on. You come on at 9, you come on at 11, you come on at 10:30. Well, we're going to make it 9:30 now going forward. All right. Let's go, Raptors Nation. Keep your heads up and just hope for the best. And let's get this one tomorrow night. This is a must win, and we need to protect our building. There's pride in this. There's pride in Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, Nick Nurse, and the rest of the guys. And we really need to show it and come out there with the right effort and make a different outcome for the game tomorrow night. It's absolutely essential if we're going to win the series in any kind of way. All right. Good job, Sixers. Be proud of your team. A lot of bright spots for y'all and stuff like that. But let's go, Raptors. We still have some games to play, and we got to make sure we get in what we need to do still before we get put out. And we don't want to get put out in the first round still. No, we don't.